3 by David Pepose. Drew, myself, and Kyle roasted it to hell and gave our actual opinions on this. And we talk about Marvel, we talk about the future of Punisher, and we also give you guys recommendations for Punisher books to read instead of this one that you guys can probably find for better shape, better price, and way better story and art. I'll tell you that right now. So check out the new video that just dropped on the MVP channel. Also, I have to shout out our main man, Drew. Not only has he reached his goal on his crowdfunding campaign, Unholy Nightmare, but he has actually exceeded, yes, that is right, exceeded our expectations and is now sitting at a whopping $5,400 right now for his goal. So, Drew, I'm super excited for you, brother, and I know that you've talked about getting to over 9,000 and what that means for the series. But here, let me go ahead and drop this in the chat for those who haven't gotten a chance to back this. There you guys have that bad Larry. There you go. But not only that, but Drew, you sent me some preview pages. So can you kind of go over what we're looking at here with what Aurelio has done today?
Yes. So what we have here, so like when we launched the campaign, we only had 5 pages done. I've completely done, like lettered, ready to go. So with that being said, we had to finish the rest of the book. So since we are now funded, we're finishing the rest of the comic now. So naturally, Aurelio, when he starts, he pencils with thumbnails. He starts on thumbnails. And what we're seeing here are his thumbnails for the next 5 pages. So we now see pages 2 through 6.
Excellent.
That's page 2 right there.
Yeah. Okay. So these are, you guys are almost like storyboarding this out, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, they're storyboarded out. He sends them to me. I cross-represent to the script. I see if it matches what I want, what I'm looking for. And a little behind the scenes, one of the pages in particular, there's a panel with someone with a syringe. And that one took the most effort to fix because Aurelio just wasn't getting the angle right. It was either like at too level, it was too low. And it took him like almost an hour just to work on one panel to get it right. So eventually, that's the page, that third panel. Yeah, he just didn't get it right, and I had to send him a photo reference of my dad, like holding a syringe. We'd just gotten done eating family dinner. I'm like, hey, do you mind just standing up real quick and like pretend you're holding a syringe? I'm gonna stand up on top of the bench. I'm gonna look down upon you, and so I just took a photo of him how I wanted it to look. I sent it to Aurelio, and yep, there we go. That's
nice. It's always funny. I love seeing the process of artists because I've actually seen some of them take photos of themselves in an action pose. You know what I mean? Like either doing the superhero stance or they're like running like towards the camera. They're doing like this number. I've seen a lot of artists do that as reference. And I think it's so smart to get the angle down, to be able to get the body language, and it really works. So
yeah. In case in point, Max, awesome. Nathan Zerdy, he did that on his first DC exclusive for I think it was Deathstroke Inc. or whatever. It was a ratio with Black Canary sitting at a diner and there's ninjas in the background. He dressed up in a ninja costume and like was jumping around, and someone was taking photos of him jumping around in the ninja costume. So he was doing that for the cover.
That's hilarious, man. I love it. That is awesome.
I was going to say another artist that does this is actually Jorge Jimenez, who, if you've never seen Jorge Jimenez, he looks like he could be a superhero. Like the dude is fit. So he's got all these like great costumes as well. And he'll take pictures in costumes. And like, that's awesome. And then 6 months later, after a book comes out, he'll like post the pictures. I'm like, dude, this is unreal. Like
he's got the, like those body costumes, right? The ones that are like almost skin tight. Cause he, like you said, he's pretty fit.
He's pretty darn fit.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's always funny because then you see guys like Greg Capullo and they're like more jacked, right? Like he's more of just like a bigger guy, and all his figures are like that way. You know, they're drawn more of like these like jacked, bigger dudes, whereas Jorge kind of draws these more fit, athletic type of builds, you know? So I love the artist process and how they get their influences from the world. So well, sweet, man. Yeah, thank you again for showing those off tonight, and I appreciate you giving us the inside scoop, the little peek behind the curtain, if you will. So
Yeah.
sneak peeks.
So yeah, that's a first right there, Max. There you go. You got
Hell
the
yeah.
inside dope.
I love it, man. I always love some insider info. Makes me feel like I'm special. Special. Speaking of special, look who's in the chat tonight. We got MG. He says, "Evening, boys. Finally get to stay up for one of these because tomorrow is a holiday. Yeah, Remembrance Day, right? Yeah, Comic Pros drama on Twitter. Man, I cannot talk tonight. I might as well be a quitter. I might just give up. Josh, you got the show. You can run
Oh no, not tonight. I don't.
Yeah. Well, I will say there's a lot of stuff on Twitter that's a nightmare that we're going to cover some of it just because it seems to be that Twitter is not real life, is not the real world, and it just seems like people continually like to cause a scene. We also have Rudy. What's up, Rudy? Great to see you, brother. Mark McGrath, who is down with the MVP. You know me, brother. Thank you for being here. And of course, you got to remember that whenever Josh is in the hizzy, I'm in a tizzy. So, Duck Bacon, hail to you, man. Thank you for being here as well.
Duck Bacon sounds good.
Duck Bacon does sound good right now. Some sizzling bacon on the frying pan. Jay, our lovely Jay the Deep-Minded, thank you for being here. Hail to the Mancave dwellers and the chat. We hope you are doing well, Jay. Lane Kramer, Mark McGrath, Michael Salo, hello to you all. And Fear Monarch, who just recently became a member. Hail to you, brother. Chris Naples, what up, fellas? Oh, no lady fellas tonight. Don't you worry about that. And it looks like Perch had posted a review for the Marvels today. It seemed most like the vomiting cats was the thing that they enjoyed, I guess.
We'll get on it. It's a fucking brilliant scene. That's all I'm gonna say. It's stupid. Story-wise, it's stupid. But the way it's filmed is brilliant.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious. So well, let's just get right into it. I don't want to hold you guys. I don't want to bury the lead here. So I have not seen the Marvels. Dolan has not seen the Marvels, but here on this channel, I mean, I really, and chat, I think you guys are totally fine with us spoiling this film. For a lot of the channels here on YouTube, and even for regular watchers of the MCU, a lot of people really aren't taking this film seriously. Leaks were being put out for this film, weeks ago about the plot and whatnot. So I think more people are just accepting the fact of just like, hey, you know what? I'm probably not going to see it. What happens, right? So our resident expert, Josh, who loved the film, is here to tell us just how great it was.
Listen, I already have enough of an uphill battle when I tried to discuss what worked and didn't work, and then all people do is look at the stuff that I thought was good about the film and be like, "Oh, you loved it! Like what a fucking shill!" Pulling a
mainly
John
our
Campbell.
friend Flaston.
Oh
yeah.
So let me start this up front by saying I give the movie a 4.5 out of 10. It's pushing to just average. I do think it's a little bit below average for a couple of different reasons. If we go just pure technical aspects, there's not a first act in this film. Like the first act does not exist. You just jump into the second act, shit's already happening, and you run with it. Which kind of makes the film feel like it's all over the place until about an hour or so in to a movie that's an hour and 45 minutes. So, and that's an hour and 45 minutes with credits. So that should kind of tell you spend most of the movie being like, okay. Yeah. But it's not awful in the respect that it made me mad. Like Thor: Love and Thunder made me mad. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania made me mad. She-Hulk, for the most part, made me mad. So it's not as bad as that, but it's not much better than those because there's not a lot there. It's a Captain Marvel film, except it's not her film. It's Kamala's film, probably before anyone, but not in the obnoxious way like the comics handle Kamala. Kamala's just incredibly likable. She's there. She's not perfect. She's not a Mary Sue. She's making mistakes the entire time. But Iman Vellani, the actress, is just so charismatic that you can't help but like her.
Sure.
So, it's just one of those things. And she's getting to meet her hero. You're getting that kind of response that you would expect, but she's trying her best to be a hero herself and figure things out. The plot of the film, it feels like you're missing. It feels like there was a second film that happened in between Captain Marvel and this, and you're not getting it. Because there's this whole plot line. This is spoilers, but I don't think anyone cares. Yes.
No, yeah. We're spoil away, please.
So the villain is Dar-Ben, who's been gender swapped, which I think a lot of people, well, if people knew who Dar-Ben was, they'd have issues with it, but nobody knows who Dar-Ben is.
Right.
Could have been a good villain, except there's no time for her to get fully developed. And she's basically trying to save Hala, their planet, because it's kind of dying. It's decrepit now after the Civil War that we never saw. We're just hearing about. But basically, after the events of Captain Marvel 1, Carol goes back to Hala, destroys the Supreme Intelligence, kind of reveals what's been going on, reveals some truths about the Skrulls, gets stuff out there to the people so that people kind of turn on each other, create a civil war. You know, they kind of play into this idea that there was a nuclear war, destroyed their atmosphere, destroyed, like they're in a drought, they have no sun, their sun's dying off, there's all this stuff. So Dar-Ben is trying to save her planet, but you don't know she's trying to save her planet. It just looks like she's a terrorist attacking other planets. But she's trying to open up wormholes to get resources back to her planet.
Right.
That's the general premise. They spent as much time discussing that as I did just now.
Oh no!
So you're like, this could have been really. This actually could have been a good story because you have characters calling Carol the Annihilator, and you don't understand why. And it's because you have people from all these planets that view her as the reason that these wars started. Some of these wars started are going on, and why their planet's in the state that it's in. And Carol's trying to carry that guilt. But again, when you just kind of shove it into a 5-minute exposition dump, it doesn't carry the weight that it should carry. So,
well, thank you for your kind of synopsis, man. What was the best part of the film? What was the worst part of the film for you?
Best part technically that I thought was done really, really well. There's a point where so the reason they catch on to Dar-Ben is they're finding these wormholes pretty much getting ripped open in space-time. So they're trying to investigate it. And they find that there's one that's on a planet where there's a Kree refugee, colony there. Some not Kree, but Skrull. Sorry. So the Skrulls are there trying to you got a colony there trying to survive and live. They've already done some treaties with the Kree to be left alone. They're doing their own thing. Dar-Ben shows up. The Marvels show up, and they're trying to help save these people. Because she's ripped a hole in their atmosphere. It's literally just sucking everything out of their planet. And they're not going to save everyone. Huh?
Like Spaceballs with the vacuum cleaner?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. but more dramatic. Okay. And, you've got Carol, you've got Monica, you've got Kamala. They're all trying to save people. They've also got this, Freaky Friday thing going on that if they're using their powers at the same time, they swap places. So that's causing a hiccup. So Carol's like, don't use your powers so she can try to save as many people as possible. But then you've got Kamala who can make hard light kind of like shields, and she's trying to keep people from getting killed. So that's there. It becomes very evident that they're not going to.
Sorry.
Yeah, fair.
I had to. Yeah.
It becomes very evident that they're not going to be able to save everyone. And by everyone, it's 70% of these people. So they've got people onto a ship, and Carol's like, we've got to go, get out of here. And Kamala, being younger, is like, we can't just let all these people die. So she is desperately trying to save people. And Carol just goes soldier mode, is like, absolutely not, get on the ship right now. Kind of yanks her, gets her on there. And then they all just watch all these Skrulls just completely get demolished, crushed by mountains. Jesus. And it was a really good scene. So I was like, that's what this movie should be. You don't get a lot of that, though. Funniest scene is...
meow.
Look, I have to preface this with, I'm not the biggest cat person. And if you saw us last week, we're talking shit about this to begin with.
Yeah.
But there's a scene... And the lead up to this is stupid. It feels like someone came up with this like, excuse me, I'm drinking a soda. I have one soda a week, so it's my soda Sunday. So Burbage is coming up. It's like someone came up with this scene like halfway or 3/4 of the way through filming and just kind of threw it in. But on the shield, the Saber space tower, Darben has come to pretty much steal the sun from Earth, and it's causing issues. And the space tower's gone, or the space Saber's gone down, and they're trying to figure out how to evacuate the Saber and get people back to Earth. But there's only one containment ship that's left to transport the people working on Saber. They're not all going to fit, so they're trying to figure out how to get people to fit. Well, they've got all these baby Flurkin that have hatched from their eggs. So it's all these little like tiny kitty cats. Yeah. And they're like, let the Flurkin eat the people and we can get the Flurkin to Earth.
Oh no.
So you're literally, okay, that was my reaction as well. And it immediately cuts. Like the tone and everything just cuts. And film-wise, it's like a horror movie's being filmed. You have people like running, you've got people like sweating, people are like a little bloody but not too bloody, and they're just like no, and you just have these tentacles coming out. Well, in the background you've got Memory from the musical Cats playing with its like whole like operatic type thing going on.
Oh my god.
And then there's over the PA system you can hear someone going like Sword agents, please do not run from the Flurkin. Let them eat you. I repeat, let them. It sounds stupid. The way it's filmed, though, really funny. The entire theater was laughing. It was by far the loudest laugh throughout the movie. It was a good scene done well, but stupid.
I think the absurdity of it is what drives the laughter, right? It's the juxtaposition between like the cute little kitty cats are these things that are going to eat you, and the horror of what it means to be eaten by this Flurkin thing, but it's to save them. You know what I mean? So it's like that's the humor. That's where the laughter comes from. Is like I cannot believe that this is happening. So that is a true line though, because I did have a friend tell me there is a line where the shield or the sword intercom system, PA system says, please do not run from the Flurkins. Let them eat you, or something at some point. And I was like, oh boy. What was okay? So the best part was the scene with Carol and Amon Vellani, right?
Yeah.
And from what my understanding is that a lot of people really liked that, but wanted more. Because what they thought what could have happened was, okay, let's delve into that. Let's have a character moment where Amon Vellani has been just clamoring over Captain Marvel, right? She's just like, you were my favorite superhero. You were the best ever. I'm so enamored with you. Oh, Captain, my Captain, all that stuff, right? But then she finally sees the results of what happens of her, saying, hey, get in the ship. We got to go. We can't save everyone. Now, how does she respond to that? How is Miss Marvel going to be like, oh my God, my hero has just left these people, like that's a really, really interesting character development that I think would be smart to delve into. And yet nothing happens, right? There's no progression after that.
So they delve into it some, and the problem isn't that they delve into it. The problem is how they handle it, because you have little kind of micro dramatic scenes pop up. That stems from one of them. There's a little bit of a tension between Monica and Carol because of their history, and they haven't seen or spoken to each other. So for Monica, she was like, when I last saw you, you said you'd be right back, and you never came back. It's been 30 years, and you never came back.
Sure.
And for Monica, Carol kind of served as her aunt growing up. Like her and her mom were best friends. Carol was always around in her life. She called her Auntie Carol. So you get some of that in there too. But anytime you start to have any type of like of a nice kind of like complexity forming, it immediately turns into this like, well, I'm sorry, that's not how I intended things to go. Let's hug it out. and they'll like hug it out, and you're like,
boo, boo,
What?
that sucks.
Yeah, and it's like no one would really do this. I mean, maybe once, but it happens like 3 or 4 times. Where they're like, let's just apologize.
It sounds like a shitty after school special. That's what it sounds like.
In a lot of ways, it was, and it's just like, so not the best. It was like you started in the right direction, and then you botched the landing.
Yeah. So I've heard this from quite a few people, actually, not just the tone of the film, but also that it feels like it was edited like a fucking schizophrenic had a hold of it. Does it feel like it was edited down from a cohesive script, or did it feel like it was edited with an already chaotic script? Like Lane is saying, did the movie feel like it was several scripts, each with their own ideas that could have been good of expanded upon, but don't get the time to develop at all?
A little bit of both. From what I'm hearing, a lot was left on the cutting room floor, and it makes me think that a lot of whatever Carol's story would have been is what got cut, because Carol honestly probably has less screen time or equal screen time to Iman and Monica Rambeau, and I thought that was kind of a miss there. Not that I'm saying I want to see Carol. It is her film. And had you had that 20 to 30 minutes of an act 1 to set up the story, it probably would have felt more cohesive with pops of different tones that were fitting for the characters. So a lot of Kamala's stuff was humorous because it's her, kind of fangirling out with her hero or her family responding. I don't know if either of you watched Miss Marvel, but her family is exactly what you expected them to be. They're that super traditional, I think they're Pakistani family. Yeah. And they give some great scenes and great moments. But yeah, Max can get a bigger jug of water. But yeah, no,
hydrated.
It definitely feels
hydrated.
It definitely feels like it's all over the place. It seems like they didn't know what they wanted the movie to be, or they lost the identity of the overall film. And I feel like you always need to have, your main identity, your main concept, and you can have other genres within that, but know what you want your film to be. And I don't think it knew what they wanted. I mean, there's one scene in particular that we're talking about the absurdity of the flirting kitties. There's another scene that's completely absurd, and for me, it ruined the film. I think for a lot of people, it ruined the film. And it's when they go to another planet, and it's Aladna. Yeah. So this is a musical planet where people communicate through song and dance. So you have not joking, you have like a 10-minute introduction to this planet where people are like seeing and welcoming them, and then it's got a whole like Disney princess type feel. And you find out that Carol's married to the prince, but like only for legal reasons. It was so stupid. And you got all these people singing and dancing. And then you have like Tiana Paris, who plays Monica Rambeau, trying to be humorous, and she's not a good actress. I'm sorry. She's not.
Oh, come on, Black Girl Magic. She can act like that.
Look, if she is, I will put it this way. There's solid action in this movie, and that makes it fun. That makes it high energy. So from an entertaining aspect, it's not terrible. She's great with action. When it comes to either delivering humor or delivering like emotion, she's so bad. And I said I was concerned about this even back when WandaVision came out. And I said I feel like they should have switched Tiana Paris and Lashana Lynch, because I think Lashana Lynch is by far a better actress. And if you're going to invest in one of the two, they should have invested in. I mean, I think they're even realizing this because they're blatantly trying to find reasons to bring Lashana Lynch back into stuff. We saw her Multiverse of Madness, which don't even get me started on. And, she's in the end credit scene with this, where she's Binary, who nobody knows who Binary is. But
everyone kept thinking it was a new Storm.
Yeah,
everyone was like, "Oh, it's Storm," and it's like, no.
Even so, even in that, I'm sure Lashana Lynch is a great actress, but even in that scene, I got nothing off of her in that scene. She was just kind of playing it. Huh? What? Who are you?
Yeah, it's even in.
I will say, I felt that way watching that when we saw the clip that was kind of like the pirated clip. watching it on the screen, she's got more subtleties that you can see. Like she's got a little more face acting. That's not terrible. The scene itself is a weird scene. But compared to what she's done in other films, even what she did in Captain Marvel, she's got so much more charisma, and she delivers better than Sienna Paris does.
Well, I think it's tough too because they probably want someone who's young for Monica Rambeau, and I guess I should say younger, because they're trying to gear this towards a more young female audience, like a kind of teen girl audience. I feel like, at least. Well, actually, we'll actually get into it because part of the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes is that there are some individuals who believe that this film was made more so for a teen normie female audience and not so much of like the classic MCU, Marvel fan, right?
I would absolutely agree that it was made for a female audience.
Okay,
I would give the Captain Obvious response. It's like, oh, thank you very much. Yeah, no idea, huh?
Yeah. And that's not like, it's not a bad thing. It's just that when you've catered to this type of audience, and then it's like, okay, well, this movie is now completely different. It's like, well, when it doesn't do as well, like, because even I think Perch was saying, like, some of his young girls were like, we don't want to watch this. It looks dumb, and then the only reason why they watched She-Hulk is because they laughed at She-Hulk twerking. They thought it was stupid, right?
Yeah.
They thought that it was just goofy. But yeah, no, I agree, Jay. This the plot to this sounds a bit chaotic.
I will say what's more interesting would be watching the making of this film, like knowing the chaos behind the scenes. That's what I want to watch.
You know what this would actually be very reminiscent of, and I would watch this in a freaking heartbeat. Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, or that documentary that talked about when Kevin Smith was about to direct that film with Nick Cage. Yeah. And it's like, dude, so many red flags. Superman's not going to have his cape. Superman's not going to fly. He's going to fight a giant spider. And you're like, good thing this didn't get made. But this Marvel's film was actually made. So, hey, Miss Sassy, great to see you. Thank you for being here this evening. But, and we also have Jacob Ironside. Hail to you, my man. So yeah, no, it's I think this is such an interesting film because it came out at a point in time where it's like everyone has gotten apathy now, and it's not just towards superhero films. I think I've changed my tune on that more towards a more fatigue of Hollywood, right? And you guys were kind of talking to me about that in one of our previous streams a couple months ago. And I think we're really seeing the effects of that, is just this overall kind of Hollywood fatigue. And I loved what Eric July actually had to say about the superhero fatigue, is that it almost gives them an excuse, because then instead of saying, oh, I'm just tired of seeing superheroes. No, we would love to see superheroes, but we want to see them done well. And so if someone makes the excuse of, oh, it's just superhero fatigue, then Marvel and Disney can just write it off as like, hey, we were making great stuff, but people were tired of superhero genres. It's fine. But instead, no, that's not the case. We want to see superheroes. It's just we want to see them done well, like I said. So, which brings me to my next point. How do they pivot, right? Like, how does Disney pivot from this film? Because though it might be fun, though it might not be like character breaking, right? Like Thor: Love and Thunder, Ant-Man: Quantumania, where people are just like, this fucking ruins Thor, or this ruins Ant-Man. Though it might not ruin Carol or Iman Vellani or any of these other characters, I think the best thing for Disney Marvel to do right now is to just get rid of the shared universe and do full out solo films, like we saw with the X-Men films, and we saw with the Hulk films, and we saw with that stuff. Because if it's its own contained thing, I think people would actually really enjoy it. And that way you don't have all this other
baggage.
Baggage, yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. That you have to carry with you from film to film to be like, oh, well, we got to remember this timeline, and we have to remember the Infinity Stones with this, and this thing had to happen to this character. Get rid of all that bullshit. just focus on heroes. What do you guys think about that kind of concept?
Go smaller.
Well, I mean, yeah,
go smaller, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because real quick, I mean, speaking of Death and Superman Lives, what happened, Max? If you remember in that documentary, they show at the very near the end of that film, they show what happened to Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers had a string of like box office bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb. And they just said, you know what, we're not doing this. We're not risking it anymore. And I kind of feel like what happened to Warner Brothers is mirroring what's happening with Disney right now. Bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb. And eventually they're going to scrap this shit or they're going to go smaller. I think it's best they just go smaller and just at smaller budgets and just don't even think about a bigger universe. Just keep them small, compact, smaller, like a sub $100 million budget film. We're talking like maybe $50 million budget films to do.
Whew.
You know, get creative. Wow. That way it makes a director and the team around him get creative around them with that limited budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's go smaller, but I think it's also just being more strategic. Like I think you can have the larger aspects, but you need to build back to them again. And you know, keep in mind part of what made, and I think like phase one in general like is good but not great, right? But a lot of the driving force with you think phase one is great. Avengers is by far the best film in phase one, except for being Iron Man.
I think Avengers is a great film.
Okay, I would say Avengers and Iron Man are great. Everything else is good or lower.
Cap and Thor, I think, are good.
Yeah, I love the first Captain America first Avenger film. I love that film. I do too. Can make me. Yeah,
I like it until the third act, and then the third act's just like shits the
bed. When he goes goes into the he fights Red Skull and in his like warehouse thing or whatever.
That's technically Act 2. Act 3 is
the car chasing down the plane,
and then they get on the plane. Yeah. Most of Marvel Phase 1 shits the bed in Act 3, but I would say Captain America, the first Avenger, is great up into Act 1 or Act 3, and then Act 3 is bad, personally.
But it makes up for that with that ending. The ending to Captain America, I love that ending
where he goes down. Yep.
He wakes up and like I think he just tells Nick Fury's like, I had a date, and then like cut to black. Like that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's what I was going to say too. That is a tease. That was a good tease. It didn't try too hard. It didn't try to implement too many stories. It's just like, hey, you want to come back because now we're in present day and Nick Fury's here. Also, you just saw him in Iron Man. We know that there's an Avengers initiative. Like there were such minor things. Look at the tease from what was it? Iron Man 2 going into Thor. Like all it was is you had Coulson, who was a character in the Iron Man films, and at the very end of Iron Man 2, he's like, gotta go to New Mexico. And then the post-credit scene is Thor's hammer. And like it was so simple but so effective.
Yeah.
That's what they need to get back to.
Because the image itself is so powerful. Everyone, that's when movie fans are going to the comic book fans like, what the hell is that? What does that mean? But we know it's like, that's awesome. Oh my God, Thor's coming.
I'm coming never mind. I love, but CJ, these are the conversations that I could have for hours, even if it's like me disputing or me like having a discussion about like, oh, I disagree. I love that because I really enjoy getting because like I love getting the different perspectives of like why so-and-so thinks this way about a film or a comic or a whatever, right? That stuff to me is so interesting. But I do really like the phase 1 of Marvel. However, so Josh, what you're basically saying though is that you still think that they can salvage a shared universe. They just have to be small with it.
Yeah, I think what you're going to end up seeing is this current thing is going to kind of try to get cleaned up and culminate in Secret Wars, and then they're just going to do a reboot. You're going to see a reboot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah.
But yeah,
well, they're going to have to do. They're going to have to do something drastic to just say. Like I've heard Mahler say this before, is that like if he were in charge of Disney Star Wars right now, his first act would say the sequel trilogy is not canon and we're starting over. And he wouldn't explain it in a film. He wouldn't try to write it into a TV show. It's just, we're just starting over. Like, we're not trying to explain it. We're not trying to delve into like the nuances of like, well, Rey was this and this is going to be, nope, just start over. And I almost wonder if that might be Marvel's best idea here, is like, don't try to explain it. Don't try and multiverse it away or snap it or do anything like that. Just say, you know what, we're just going to reboot it and just have new characters. And I think that almost might be better, because if they try and explain it, it's going to be like, this is nonsense. We know it's nonsense.
Well, we tried to explain something. Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't been able to explain anything else. Like, they still haven't really explained the snap and the effects of that. They still really haven't explained the effects of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. They still haven't explained how there's an entire multiverse of tiny things in Ant-Man Quantumania, and how that exists as a different multiverse, or is like that its own multiverse inside of it.
It's not even a different universe. It's just it's like, even when you look at things microscopic in our world, you've got all these living organisms that we pay no attention to because we cannot see them.
And that's what,
but
that was my understanding. But then I watched the film and they're explaining things like it is its own multiverse or something like that. I don't know. It seemed odd. It seemed very, anyway. I think it's difficult.
That's all I'm going. Look, I will say, and people aren't watching this, but Loki season 2 is genuinely really, really good. It feels like old Marvel. Loki is by far the focus. Wow. I mean, look, this is what I'm going to say. The people that are actually watching the show and the people that aren't just going on YouTube to say here's how you can know. This is just honestly, if you see anyone talking about the Marvels as a film and they're talking about how it's worse than anything Marvel has ever done, they haven't watched the fucking movie. Because if you even remotely think this is as bad as Thor 4 or Ant-Man and the Wasp or She-Hulk, you're just a fucking retard. Like, I'm sorry. All you're doing is trying to look like, one of those people to get clicks. Like, point blank. Loki season 2 is actually a very good show. It fixes all the problems of season 1. It tells a cohesive story. It's high energy. It's fast paced. Like, you're going. Sylvie, which I think was one of the main problems of the first season, she's cut back drastically. It's like, how can we get you out of the picture but still try to make it seem like you're relevant? That's what they do in season 2. And Loki, I'll just put it this way: Loki's stronger than he's ever been before. Wow.
I mean, I just wish that we had Loki in Avengers. This vengeful, angry, stepson who feels wronged by his brother, who feels wronged by the world, who feels like he's owed this, this city, this world. He feels like he's owed this kingdom, if you will, like this throne, and he's ready to take it all. Doesn't matter what the consequences are. He is a classic villain, and I want that Loki back. I don't really necessarily want a Loki who is looking back at his mistakes and seeing, well, did I really make the right move? No, I want him to be able to
the minute
go
he
forward,
obliterates the body positive guard, I'll be back on board. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, there you go.
Look, the body positive guard ends up being a decent character, but
my god, of course you like her too.
So did y'all watch all of season 1?
No.
Okay, so the thing that gets revealed is all the TV agents are actually variants and they've been mind wiped, so they don't remember their past lives. So that kind of becomes like part of the story at the end of season 1. Not handled well. This season it gets handled really, really well. So you get more of who these people actually are. Decent character. But what you're wanting to see from Loki, Max, maybe not to the scale of villain as you would want. You get that in season 2. Like there's one episode where he is just like hunting a guy down, and it's old school evil Loki. He doesn't care. He's gonna get him. Even in the final the final episode's called Glorious Purpose, and it's kind of Loki receiving his glorious purpose. So cool. And I will also say, by the end of season 2, it's the most threatening that any version of Kang has been.
Okay, don't even get me started on Kang.
But
We are so far away from Kang. No.
I will look. I'll spoil this. They set it up in a way that if they move forward without Kang, it's fine based on this.
Okay, thank God. Well, they have to move away. They Marvel will. Kang is the least of their worries. However, if they do want to go forward with Kang, it's still not going to work. So yeah,
that guy's going to be in court for a long time. I don't see him on a set for
they
keep
pushing. Yeah, they keep pushing this stuff.
Plus, it's like anyway. I won't go into it because he's not even a conversation piece. Let me ask you guys this: what do you believe is the worst film based off of objective filmmaking, direction, cinematography, sound design, production design? Like as an objective film, what do you think is the worst? As a character study, which is the worst? What do you think has assassinated a character the most? And yeah, let's start with those two because I want to see what you guys think about which has been the worst for the character and what's the worst in terms of just an objective film.
It's the same movie for me. It's Thor 4. Or we're talking about MCU, right?
Yeah.
Thor 4 by far.
Both of them, really?
Yeah.
Holy shit! Both take the cake for Thor 4. Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Now, what film ruins more of the universe, though? Which film would you say is the worst in terms of basically demolishing everything that came before in terms of MCU universe structure? Because I know that like a lot of people would say yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, there are elements of the first season of Loki, especially that first episode, that really pissed me off. Like when I see
Infinity Stones.
Yes, they're all what was treated as such a cataclysmic. At least we're treated like cataclysmic items could destroy the universe. They took out billions of lives. Nope, they're just treated like little keepsakes in a box. I'm like, fuck off. No, that pissed me off. Just everything that was building to that, you're treating it like it was nothing. That pretty much, I think, destroyed almost 10 years of a Marvel universe in one episode.
See, that didn't bother me as bad because they made a point to establish that there is no source of magic in this place. So, like, the idea of powers at all do not exist. So that, like, even Loki doesn't have strength. So, I didn't like seeing Loki like that. But the fact that nothing has power, so if you have an object that wields power and it's in an area where power does not exist, clearly they're not going to be useful. So that did not bother me. I thought they could have written it a better way, but it didn't make me hate I didn't feel like everything was lost. Because if you take those stones and go back to somewhere else, they're the stones again, and you're unleashing like complete terror.
Okay. Because I've heard from a lot of people that in terms of universe destruction, that Doctor Strange mom probably does that it probably breaks down everything that came before in terms of what had been built up for this universe. But I wonder if no, not Quantumania. I think that's just a bad film. I think it's poorly written, very poorly written more than anything.
Yeah, I think Multiverse of Madness definitely kind of hindered the universe itself and damaged the universe. I think Quantumania was the one thing that completely killed the momentum of the universe.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you think back, like a lot of us were uncertain about the film itself, but there was a little bit of there was a hype going into it. There was a hype for Kang because he was being billed as the next big bad. Right. And then they completely chopped his legs off in that movie and ruined any momentum they had for that character and any momentum that was even remotely there for multiverses or seeing like it just by that point, everything just died. Like that's when everything took a nosedive. Yeah. And I don't think it was just an individual thing. I would think it was the, multiple gut punches of, how Multiverse of Madness handled some characters, how they handled the story, how Thor 4 just completely butchered one of the Trinity, pretty much.
For real. So much so, in fact, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but in fact, that Chris Hemsworth himself, meta in reality, was like, I'm not coming back until you change my character. I'm not coming back until.
He's got to take some ownership, though, because there's interviews out there with Marcus McFeely and with the brothers, the directors.
Russo brothers?
Yeah. Where Chris Hemsworth was blatantly being like, hey, Taika and I created something really special. I don't want to lose that. Like, I really want to make sure we deliver that message.
That died fast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, could that be him believing in a project that he... Because, like, if I'm an actor... And I really don't believe in the project. I still have to go out there and say, like, we love what we did, and we're so happy that we can bring this to you guys. Like, right? You have to sell your product, whether you believe in it or not. And I wonder if now that people are openly kind of criticizing and critiquing and the MCU, I wonder if Chris Hemsworth felt safe at this point to say, listen, it's not for me anymore. If this is the direction we're gonna go, I'm not happy with it. So I don't know. I don't know which one is the true him, but
I think he was big enough that him going to the creators to say yay or nay on something, he would have gotten away with. Because he also went to bat for Taika to make Thor 4. So it's just,
yeah.
What I'm assuming happened is, you had Thor 1, which was a good film. You had, Thor the Dark World, which was questionable. And I think when you got to Ragnarok, it felt so fresh and fun in a lot of ways. And there was an energy to it, even though it's not one of my favorites, that he was like, okay, this is something good. Mm-hmm. And then I think for Infinity War, they found a really good balance of Thor being a badass, but we can still inject his humor in and make it work.
Sure.
And then Endgame, Fat Thor, whoever's idea that was, pisses me off to this day. Like,
absolutely,
the fact that I was robbed of badass Thor with the full Viking get up and the long hair and the braided, like, no, we had to get Viking Thor with this huge pot belly, and I'm just like, yeah, that's right, I'm body shaming. What are you gonna do? Suck it.
Don't even get me started. I'll body shame all day as well. These are freaking superheroes. I don't want to see fat superhero on screen. I want to see the idealistic form of what I want to become. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll gladly see it at conventions, but not on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah. And that Chris Hemsworth is having to pay out the ass for personal chefs and personal training and to stay in shape year round. Because if they do reshoots, he has to come right back and still be at like 2% body fat or whatever, and be able to, perform those scenes. But then they go, oh, no, we're just going to put a fat suit on you. It's like, well, I just trained for 6 months for this film, and you guys are just going to do this
joke.
That's the joke. Yeah, they absolutely made him a joke in those films, and which is sad because, like you were saying, Josh, I think most people looking back at phase 1, 2, and 3 would probably say that Thor's films were the lesser of the other. Because, like, if you look at at Captain America's track record, fucking Cap 1, Winter Soldier, which is arguably the best film in the entire, fucking Civil War, like Cap's run of films is brilliant. Iron Man 1 is arguably one of the best film, right, of Marvel.
Right.
2, bring me my bird.
It's still fun. I enjoy 2, but
I do enjoy. I'll tell you what, I'll enjoy 2 way fucking more than I enjoy 3. I hate 3. I can't watch 3.
I love 3 until the twist, and
that's exactly.
Fuck off.
So yeah, no, I can't stand 3. He doesn't even have his suits half the time. All the suits go into the ocean for most of the time. It's just, yeah. So even with the Iron Man kind of dipping in Iron Man 2, I still have fun with it. But yeah, I think most people would say the Thor films, Thor 1 was not really up to par, Thor 2 was not really up to par, and Thor 3 was this new energy, like you said, that was brought into his film franchise. And I got to tell you, I'd watch Thor 1 and 2 over Thor Ragnarok any day of the week.
Yeah.
Same.
So,
I'll watch Thor 1 and I'll watch Thor 2 over pretty much almost anything in the latest phase from Marvel right now.
I don't care for Malekith, but there's still like, Thor is still Thor, right?
Yeah.
He's not fucking damaged from Taika.
Nope.
Huge shout out to our man Mark Loves Angels for $10. 10 big ones. Thank you, Mark. He says, I often get the feeling with all the joking and nerfing, the producers and writers deep down don't respect these characters. Off the MCU now.
Well, as we discovered, they don't know the characters. A lot of them have never read the characters.
Nor do they want to get to know them.
Nope.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, even when they're given opportunities to read the comics, they say, no, I'm good. I'm going to do my own thing.
I'll make them at me.
Yeah. They need to get another person in, or they need to get writers that actually respect these characters and enjoy these characters. John Favreau gave this universe a brilliant start, and he cared, and that's why he kind of, even though he wasn't sticking around behind the scenes, he kept coming back as Happy Hogan. He was passionate about this world that he was in. It did a lot, but they need to get back to having a central story architect. And everyone thinks that was Kevin Feige. That was not Kevin Feige. It never was Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige was just the money and getting the directors and all this stuff. The story architect was Joss Whedon. They brought Joss Whedon in while filming Captain America: The First Avenger. He did rewrites to that script. And then he had a hand in everything leading up to Infinity War and Endgame. Just here's the main plots of these films. This is where the characters are going. If you want to do your own thing here, fine. But by the end of this film, this needs to happen so it can play to here. And he was doing all these little minute, microscopic, this character needs to have this type of interaction with this character here. So it makes sense when we get to it here. Just going through the universe. He mapped everything out and said, here you go. Here's the map. Follow it. Yeah. They don't have that. They haven't had that. Even when they went past Endgame, there were interviews of Kevin Feige saying, "Oh, we're not going to do phases anymore. We're going to have a cosmic kind of universe thing going on. We're going to have our traditional hero stuff going on. We're going to have street level stuff going on." And then a few films in, they realized that wasn't working, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to have phase 4, phase 5, trying to go to something," and it's still been unfocused. So.
Yeah, and now correct me if I'm wrong. Did also James Gunn have a hand in some of the more spatial aspect of things? Because I feel like when he came in, that was also another big shift in tone, and then he carried that out through a couple different films that they made.
So James Gunn came in with Guardians of the Galaxy, and it did so well, and he had such a grasp on taking things that were strange but making them relatable so people could connect with it, that at that point he was supposed to be the one that was supposed to take this whole cosmic stuff after Endgame and run with it. So he was trying to plan that out. And then you had the whole James Gunn getting fired, James Gunn getting brought back, James Gunn saying, "Thanks, I'm going to go take DC." But yeah, he was supposed to kind of pick that up and take it on past Endgame.
Yeah, interesting.
But I was going to say too, Marcus. Yeah. So Marcus and McFeely, they're probably the two best writers that have come in for Marvel. They wrote Captain America: First Avenger. They wrote Winter Soldier. They wrote Civil War. They wrote Infinity War, and they wrote Endgame. Whoa. When they were doing Infinity War and Endgame, they went to James Gunn and were like, "We know we can't write these characters the way that you do," referring to Guardians. This is what we need to happen. Will you write these scenes? And he did.
Wow, that's really interesting. I had no idea. That's cool. But I mean, that goes to show just how much these guys know about themselves, know about the characters. And so to Mark Loves Angels, to your $10 super chat, brother, I agree. Excuse me. I agree that a lot of the reason why I think these writers think that these are just toys to play with is because they don't know what came before. They don't understand the characters. They don't understand the comics. They don't understand why the fans like these things. They just think it's just a blockbuster popcorn movie. But the reason why we get so invested is because of these characters and their long history of comics. That has been written by fantastic creators, right? So it is a shame to see that these producers and these directors and these writers mainly feel that it's okay to just nerf and completely make a joke out of a lot of these characters. But we'll see what happens though, Mark. And thank you again for the $10, brother. That's super generous. And we also have another $5 from the man himself, DJ Smith. What's going on, brother? Thank you for being here. And he says it sucks that we don't get a good knee or Kree Skull War adaptation. I believe you're saying Kree Skull War adaptation. Yeah, no, DJ, I would love to see Annihilation, Silver Surfer, anybody, right? Like that would be freaking sick. And that's a more recent Marvel comic within the past 2 decades, right? So yeah, what do you guys would y'all even be interested in a Kree Skrull War right now?
Not at this point. I mean, at this point, it's pretty much already happened. Like,
right
in the MCU, it's already done. Now, if they do this reboot, then perhaps, but get someone good that's going to come in and write it, and it shouldn't be a film. It should be, you should fill the aspects of this kind of across multiple films. Not saying it needs to be the plot of multiple films, but it should be, in the background in some way.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, DJ, for the 5. That is super gracious of you, my man. And I think that's a good question. So, last thing before we move on to our next topic, what is your favorite scene or moment in the MCU, and what is your worst scene or moment in the MCU?
Including the TV shows or just the movies?
TV shows and movies. It's as long as it's in whatever Disney, Marvel, or just Marvel has created in the past MCU, decade that we've gotten. What's your favorite and what's your worst?
For me, it's easy. It's a tie between 2 scenes. One, it's Daredevil season 2 when Daredevil is tied to the chimney and him and Frank are just going back and forth. That whole episode, I was just like, had goosebumps the entire time watching the episode because it was literally that issue of the Punisher brought to life.
It's pulled straight from the comic, bro. It's exactly.
I love that whole damn episode. Perfect. And the other moment for me, I know it's cheesy. I brought it up before. It's when Jon Favreau is talking to Tony Stark's daughter at the end, and he's like, "We want to have cheeseburgers," and it's like, God damn, that was good. That got me. But yeah, those 2 for me. Those are my 2 favorite moments.
Wow. Okay.
I will agree with. I think that look, and this is the one bad thing about talking about this stuff. I think we talk about a lot of the negative, and I do think there's a lot of good that's in these shows and movies.
Yeah.
I agree with the chimney scene. And another great thing about that too is most of that episode it's like 50 minutes of pretty much just 2 people talking. But it's so good,
and like these actors are just like projecting their acting chops on the screen, and you're just like, I'll eat it up, bro. Just give me more. I'm here for it. So yeah.
So a good pick there. I'm gonna go with 2 answers outside of that. One heroic moment that just made me want to be like, fuck yeah, when Cap gets the hammer in Endgame.
Really? Oh wow.
You didn't like that?
No, I mean I liked it, but you saw it coming.
Of course, 2, I mean you saw the hammer lifting up, Yeah.
2, I don't know. It was schlocky enough to where I was like, okay, all right, this is cool. But,
I mean, it was like 6 years worth of payoff though.
Of course,
and it was, for me, I think it was the peak heroic. You kind of want that, fan service more. If you're gonna have fan service, that's the way to do fan service.
Yeah.
And other than that, I would say number 2, I'm actually gonna go Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and it's when Ian DeCastneck's character Fitz is dealing with the monolith, and he's trying to figure out what happened to Gemma, and he's like, I'm gonna go to the ends of the earth, and he does. So it's a whole episode, but the whole episode is just one. Anyways, 4,192 hours is the name of the episode.
500.
To give you some insight, there were legitimate, not even comic book based magazines and stuff, but just film, television magazines that were citing that was one of the best episodes of television that year, potentially of all time. One of the best, not the best, but one of the best.
Whoa.
And I think on IMDb it's got like a 9.6, 9.7 rating.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What is it? Just because of the writing?
It's just, yeah. I mean, it's really good writing. So.
Okay. I've never seen a score like that on anything ever before.
You'll get stuff.
Mad Men, for me, I've seen the scores that high.
Okay. I will probably say Avengers, the first film, when the camera circles around the team.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so cliche, but at the same time,
it's the first time we're together as the team.
It's so epic. It's the first time we have effectively seen a comic book team. It felt like I was reading a panel, like straight from one of the books, right?
They were in their costumes. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They were in their costumes. Everyone's doing their own thing, right? So-and-so is like fixing their glove. Hulk is screaming. Thor is like, has the thunder come down. Like each one of them are doing their thing as the camera pans around. And it's just such an epic, like nothing will ever kind of invoke that same feeling other than Infinity War when Thor comes down and says, "Bring me Thanos."
Oh,
which
yeah.
Everyone says that's probably their favorite one. So I know it's another cliche one, but it's like, this is what we've been waiting for. Like, to me, I waited for that more so than I waited for Cap's hammer moment. But that's just me, because I don't know. I just I think Thor he's probably the most tragic of every character in the MCU. He has lost everything. And so for him to come back was just absolutely incredible.
I will say, I feel like your pick and then my pick are like the two bookends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The assembly and then
and then the finale. Yeah.
I got the meat with the Daredevil,
and I can't disagree with you, man. It's so I could watch that for days on end.
All of those moments, though, I'm just gonna say this: all the assembly, the bring me Thanos, the hammer. I got the Peter tingles. I'm not gonna lie.
I might be pitching a tent. I might have gone from 6 to noon already. So
I would stand up and cheer, but I can't. I might get kicked out of the theater.
Oh man, yeah. Good thing our cameras only go so far. Well, yeah. In terms of, I hate to ruin the high, but in terms of the worst, easy for me. The worst scene in all of MCU history is Scarlet Witch making fucking fantastic, Mr. Fantastic into spaghetti and ruining the Illuminati and then snapping Professor Xavier's neck. Fuck off with all of that shit. That makes me angrier than anything else I've seen in the MCU. And just talking about it makes my blood boil. So that's probably my worst scene. What about you guys? Do you have like a worst moment that you're like, just
Love and Thunder, the whole damn movie, it makes my blood boil. I cannot watch it.
Oh yeah.
I can't watch any scene of it because I remember sitting there with Sean in Chicago watching that movie. We're both pissed. Sean was pissed. I was pissed. And I'm like shaking my head the whole time, like, what the fuck have they done to Marvel? I can't believe this right now. I can't. And I will never, ever watch that film again in my life.
Yeah. I think you know what? Because I'm thinking about stuff now too. I'm going back to when you asked what is the worst project, and I said easily Thor 4. It's got competition with Secret Invasion. I'm just gonna throw that out there. As far as like properly being made, like if we're going with purely technicality on film stuff, something being filmed, I would say Secret Invasion probably takes it, just because there's just basic like film school freshmen would know better than to doing some shit that they did there.
Like the one, like they break the 180 rule or something. And you're just like, what? No.
But I think for me, that film, that was the first that I felt like they just completely just decided they were just gonna like fuck these characters. And the reason I say, and I know Multiverse of Madness came first, right? Did it come out before?
Yeah, no, yeah, it came before Thor. Yeah,
I am okay with Scarlet Witch being able to do the things she did. I'm not okay with how it happened.
sure. I mean, but we saw those things happen to like Scarlet Witch can do those things, and I wanted to see her do that to Thanos, right? Like one of my favorite moments of her is standing up to Thanos and her like almost kind of beating his ass, right? And she does take him for a little bit, but
It's not even
ugh.
like a strength power thing. It's the fact that she can just completely alter reality. It's that for me.
Yes.
So if that scene had gone down and everyone had just spaghettied and she never said anything, and it was just like something that subconsciously happened because she was in a rage, I'd be like, holy fuck, what's going on? But they had to have the witty, like,
the little moments.
Yeah. What mouth? Like that. That is what.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're telling me that Black Bolt's mouth wouldn't rip open? Well, first of all, Black Bolt is the most disciplined, not mutant, but inhuman in history. He is the only one who has to discipline himself not to speak, not to even sneeze, because he knows how powerful he can
With
you
a
know,
whisper.
blow away
Yeah.
Hulk onto another freaking planet, right? He is one of the most powerful Inhumans. So you're telling me the guy that is the most disciplined and like he's a king, and the thing that's gonna get him all spooked to go like, oh my god, is that she does some weird thing with his mouth. I do not see that.
Oh yeah, no,
I
I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not the fact that she was able to do what she did; it's how it was played out. That's my issue with the scene.
Yeah.
But I still get more pissed at Thor 4 in general because it ruined way too many things.
Yeah.
Zeus, just Thor, Zeus, Valkyrie. What little bit of hope that there could have been for having a Jane Foster story. If you just focused on cancer, it could have actually been an okay story. It just shit. Like, all of it.
Yeah, Zeus like lifts up his skirt and is like walking down. It's like, fuck me, dude.
What's bad is he filmed like
he did 2 takes.
Oh.
Yeah, he did the first take of like intimidating. I'm just gonna walk down the stairs, and then the second take, he's like, I'm gonna be a little fairy, and of course, Taika's like, cut it. We're good. Wrap it up. Send it to the editors. Oh man. Well, for another $5, $4.99 from Rudy Teg. Thank you for the super chat, my man. He says y'all should start a man's only. I would subscribe. Y'all are A+ entertainment. Man's only, eh? Well, Josh has his only Josh on Saturday nights every now and then. So if you do want something similar, Rudy, that's probably your best bet. So man's only, that'd be fun. Or like Max's Man Cave After Dark. But thank you again for the $5, man. Hey, if you guys send in super chats, maybe we will start a man's only, or after hours.
Before we leave the MCU, remember back in the day when the Eternals was by far the worst thing that we had in the MCU, and that was the one thing we had to be like, God, this is just bottom of the barrel. I'm so glad it's only up from here.
Oh no. Well, what's funny is that, like you're talking about way much earlier in the stream, there tend to be channels that will say this is the worst thing ever, right? Until the next worst thing ever comes out. And so then that's the worst thing ever. And then that's the worst thing ever until it becomes Crying Wolf. And then it's like, okay, well, what is actually the worst, most damaging film in your opinion? So it is really tough when everything is just the worst thing ever, because then you can't actually get a very objective view of what's going on. So, but yeah, no, it is tough because like at the time, Eternals was like, hey, maybe it's shot beautifully, but the film itself is written bad, or the characters don't make sense, or like whatever it was, right? I think a lot of people were just bored. A lot of people just they were just like, what? I don't, why am I here?
Yeah.
So
Fear Monarch puts, okay, so Eternals is bad, but do you think Marvel's toys will clog the shelves at Ollie's?
No.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I was at Walmart today, and there's plenty of Captain Marvels, Kamalas, and Photons.
Oh no!
Just stacked up in there right now.
So wait, were you saying that Ike Perlmutter was right?
Possibly.
Because wasn't he? Yeah, everyone gets all their panties in a wad because Ike Perlmutter did do some shit that didn't put Marvel in a very advantageous position. He did say some things that were probably a lot of people didn't like. One of the things that he did say that got everyone in an uproar was that female action figures don't sell, not female dolls, but female action figures. And I think what he was trying to say is like, I don't want to do a Black Widow movie because those won't sell. At least that's what I think that was his initial thing, was he didn't want to do Black Widow.
He didn't think females would sell movie tickets, like female leads. Look, that's not even just being misogynistic. There is a history kind of showing that that's pretty much the case. And whenever you do have female-led action films that do remotely well, there's usually like a co-lead that is the male. It's a male co-lead. So it's not off base. Like, he's got a point. And when you think about it, action films, action TV shows, they're usually male driven as far as the audience goes. And a lot of your guys are going to go in there and be like, I'm not going to believe that this 80-pound chick's beating the shit out of people unless you make it believable.
So the one outlier is probably Alias with Jennifer Garner.
Oh, I heard that was a good show.
Yeah. I mean, it was all right.
Yeah,
but it did really well, but also wasn't built on the fact that she's able to just beat the shit out of people. She was a good spy and intelligent and was crafty. Like, it was kind of all that mixed in, and she could hold her own. Absolutely. And she's kind of a femme fatale. She's this beautiful, gorgeous, very athletic looking woman who is still able to be very competent and, have her own strengths. I think the perfect example of this in the MCU is Black Widow. Black Widow was perfect in Winter Soldier. I mean, she was good in Avengers, perfect in Winter Soldier, really good in Civil War.
Iron Man 2, anyone? She looked the best in Iron Man 2.
Oh yeah.
And then Tony Stark goes, terrible. He goes, I want one.
Oh yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
You get her film, and then it's like,
yeah, a little too late. Too late.
Yeah, they pulled the uterus out. It's very bloody. It's very messy.
Oh God, yeah. And
that's hilarious.
Red Guardian is like, okay, I get it. Stop. Just shut up. Yeah, it's just like, ha ha ha. Get it, guys. It's funny. Like, okay. But no, I think that I think Ike had some things that he was probably as a businessman. He's probably just super matter of fact and was like, listen, here's the statistics, right? And plus, hey, look at the Marvels. All female led film, female directed film, female written film. Well, I don't know if it's written by female.
I think it had like 6 writers.
Well, of course, because it's schizophrenic. No one could figure out what was going on. So you get this, female heavy film. And I heard that the split was still like 70-30 male to female. So even when you get these female-led films and when you get these big, female blockbusters, the female audience doesn't show up. Same thing with women's basketball. Like Bill Burr even has a bit on it on one of his stand-up comedy tours. He talks about like, all these women are talking about like how important they want the pay gap and how important it is to do this in athletics and how important it is that female soccer and female basketball and all this stuff, but then they don't even show up to the games. They don't support it. So how are we supposed to take it seriously? So
yeah, a little fun fact about that, Max. So we're gonna get a little off basis. We're gonna talk about the sports ball real quick.
Sports ball. Oh no, all the nerds are gonna leave. Yep, all the chat's gonna go. Okay.
So I think these were tax reports that came out from LSU, Louisiana State University, from I think 3 or 4 years ago. They showed the numbers for the athletic programs coming in, just how much money the programs all brought in, and every other program that wasn't football was in the red. Every other one were like in debt, big time.
This is LSU? Where was this?
This is LSU. And you look at football, holy shit, they're in the green, making hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes.
This 1 year. And it's like, okay, yeah. So you want to make more money, you want all the money to go to this, and that. It's like, but you guys are in the red every damn year, especially this year. It's interesting.
Wow. That really is. Thank you for sharing that, man. Because
I'm gonna see if I can find I'm gonna see if I can find the numbers so I can send it to you so you can see.
Yeah. Because LSU is no small college when it comes to sports balls. So, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's only 3 credited writers for the Marvels, so I was wrong. Apologies, but the I guess the lead credited writer is Nia DaCosta, who's also the director. So that's probably a problem right there. She came in and rewrote a script. But
red flag numero uno.
Yeah, the other 2 writers, one of them was one of the writers for Loki season 1, already not promising. And then the other was a staff writer, so not even a main writer, but a staff writer for WandaVision, which means they probably didn't do much for the show.
Interesting. Yeah. So basically the two people heading this film were the director and a Loki season 1 writer. Oof. Yeah, that's no bueno. Now, Drew, I don't know if you saw this. Did you say you were getting numbers for the LSU thing?
Yeah, I'm looking it up. Okay. Oh, hey, it's Alan. It's
it's our friend Alan Ng. It's X-Ray Girl's dad. Yeah. So, Alan is a good friend of the show. Well, he's a good friend of our sphere of the internet, right? Alan is kind of this. If you want to meet one of the nicest people in the world, you meet Alan Ng. If you want to meet one of the most tame, the guy who has the most tame and level-headed and calm and like right middle of the road takes, you meet Alan Ng. He's not one of these like clickbaity guys. He's not one of these like MCU is woke, fucking woke bullshit. That's not Alan Ng, right? He is a objective film critic who has a family. He's a Christian man who holds true to his values. He is your everyman. We love Alan Ng on at least I really enjoy his commentary, and I think that it's very well done. Yes, please, Josh, the man below me. Yes.
Okay, so I'm gullible, but forgive me. Is he really X-Ray's dad, or is that just an Asian joke?
Racist. No. He is not X-Ray Girl's dad.
Okay.
The meme is that he is.
Okay. Carry on.
Yeah. It is very funny because he will send her videos and go, X-Ray Girl, this is your father. Don't go out at night, or like whatever. He's so funny. He does some great nice little videos for her. So Alan is part of Film Threat, which Chris Gore, who works directly, Chris Gore, who is the owner of Film Threat, Chris Gore of also note on Attack of the Show back in the early 2000s. Chris Gore is another great guy who we really, really love and have spent multiple days with. I've spent multiple opportunities hanging out with him, whether it's in Vegas or LA or Dallas. Both of these guys are fantastic dudes who really know how to critique film. But Alan put his 2 cents out there on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think it's a very fair take. He says, a superhero movie clearly made and produced by people who have never read a Marvel comic, but read Archie instead. Now, this is him talking about the Marvels. He says, lastly, it feels like it was made for teen girls and not for actual comic book fans. Now, anyone who just kind of reads that and knows Alan kind of knows what he means. He's basically saying, listen, this film isn't going to be for like your hardcore, diehard 50-year-old comic book collector who's been reading Marvels for decades, right? This is more made for like younger teenage girls, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Fabian Nicieza, which is like he's a fantastic writer and one of my favorite writers, back in the early 90s of Marvel, says that Alan is the problem. The tweet is for those who don't understand what I mean, the problem in this case is Alan. And yet, like I said, Alan's probably got a very mild-mannered take. So one of the things that he then goes on to say in one of these comments down here is, let's see.
He says, "Oh, did he just say I have no clue who he is?" Did he just say that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was basically saying like, I have no clue who he is, and I really don't care. The screenshot came up from his feed from like a Rotten Tomatoes thing, but he doesn't say, I don't mind the individual, I just hate this view. And so later he talks about, let's see, his issue has nothing to do with whether he liked it or not. His issue is, well, his quote is, my issue with why it feels like, oh no, gosh dang it, feels like it was made for teen girls and not for actual comic book fans. The insecurity, exclusionism, appropriation, and incredibly inaccurate presumptions of fandom bug the shit out of me. And this is where I was like, what the what is that? Yeah, sorry, Josh, go ahead.
No, it's not an off base. I mean, his comment is off base, but Alan's assessment is not off base. It's very much on point. It's very much how it feels. And, you know, especially for someone who writes comics, Fabian should understand that if you're going to make a film that's based on a certain a genre or medium, that it should reflect that genre or reflect that medium. The Marvels in many ways does not. And look, I spent a good chunk trying to defend certain aspects of that movie. Mm-hmm. There are good aspects. There are some comic booky fun aspects, but overall, it does not feel like a comic book film. It feels like a CW kind of teen angsty, not even angsty, just teen kind of like random story. Like he's spot on. And it's almost like Fabian's taking it personally. And I do not understand that.
I think one of his big issues is that he sees this because in another tweet, he says that he sees this a lot. And a lot of the guys who have this take are basically just women haters. They just don't like women to be in comics or whatever. Yeah. So in this tweet, he says, you don't know that is fact. And even if it were true, it would actually be fearless for them to do that. The only ones I see being openly fearful are those afraid of girls. Right. So he's trying to say like, oh, this guy just clearly hates women. And that's not at all what Alan is saying. He's saying that obviously he believes that this film was made for a different audience, which happens to be teenage girls, which is how Marvel kind of marketed this film. Like you said, Josh, you actually watched it. And even you can say it feels more like a teen CW or a teen sitcom. It's like a Disney Channel show.
Also, he's complaining about a tagline for a review. What Alan has posted is the tagline that gets posted to Rotten Tomatoes, so people will hopefully go read his review.
Full review, right?
Yeah. And I'm just throwing it out there. Depending on what audience you're coming from, you're going to decide what you want to read or who you want to look into for film reviews based on that. If you are a film nerd and you study film and do whatever, you may not go Film Threat. You might go something that's more quote unquote highbrow. Right. That's not a diss to Chris Gore or anyone. I'm just, those people have their certain audiences that they kind of align with. Sure. But Chris Gore has a nerd background. He's got a background of loving comics and all these different kind of nerdy things. So they are more accepting of comic book films for what they are, as opposed to, the people over here that are the film snobs. So people that have a comic book foundation are probably going to go read those reviews at Film Threat because they know what they're looking for. And the people writing those reviews understand what they're looking for. They still make up a good chunk of the audience. You've got your just general audience that we're seeing Marvel because it was reliable. And then that's fallen off. And then even when those people started falling off, your comic book audience was still kind of going like, we're holding out hope. It's been like, we've had 2 strikes, but we're going to knock this one out of the park. And it didn't happen. Right. We're like, it's okay. The next batter's up. He can have 3 strikes as well, but he'll hit it before that,
It's tough because you're right. Film Threat is much more of a film critique site for nerds. Like the guys who come to Film Threat are guys who love Star Wars and Marvel and Star Trek and like, you know, these franchises. They know that they can get an accurate review because these guys have read all those things. They've watched all these things. So this is what frustrates me, and this is what bugs, you know. Well, Fabian says that the review bugs him. Well, this comment bugs me pretty badly, because the fact that he would say that this comes from insecurity, exclusionism, appropriate. What does he mean by appropriation? That comic books have that this film has like appropriated a different genre, or that comic books have appropriated, or that fans are appropriating. Like it plays. I don't know if he knows what he's saying here. And incredibly inaccurate presumptions of fandom. It's not like Alan is saying, "Oh, no girls allowed. No girls can read comic books." Alan is just saying, "Oh, this film is for this crowd." Do they happen to read comic books? Probably not, because let's be real, most normies don't even read comic books, and that's fine. But once again, that's his take. He's just saying this was made for a different audience. But yeah, this comment from Fabia really, like, it put me off, and it gave me like a really bad taste in my mouth, because like I said, I love what the man does. I love his work in comics, but this is like, I don't know why he has this take and why he feels so aggressively, you know, attacking this point. I think it's just because of the heat on Twitter that so many people get from like, "Oh yeah, girls suck. Girls don't read comics. Girls shouldn't be in comics, blah, blah." And it's like, maybe he's trying to respond to that aspect, but I don't know.
Yeah, but you gotta step out of that echo chamber, right? Like you have to remove yourself from that. So even if that is the thing, and this whole idea that women didn't start reading comics or start going to movies until we started catering stuff towards them is completely false. There were more women reading comics when we weren't catering to them. There were more women going to see these superhero films when we weren't catering to them.
Right.
Go give, if you, and I think this is kind of Alan's point. If you give a simple story that is a hero's journey, it is going to resonate with anyone of any age. You can be a little kid, you can be a teenager, you can be adult, you can be male, female, you can be grandma and grandpa that, you know, have colostomy bags joining them to the movie theater. They're all going to resonate with it. If you then make a movie that's based towards teen females, you are now taking away every other audience except for those teen female audiences.
Right. For $5, let me get to this super chat real quick, and thank you, Josh, for kind of articulating my points a little bit better than I can. I'm more so just flabbergasted that someone would take offense to this mild-mannered review, right? Which I agree with. I agree with Alan. I think it's a good review. But Lane Kramer for $5, dude, thank you so much for the 5. We greatly appreciate it here on Max's Man Cave. He says, "I wish I was Jimbo Fisher. 76 million to go away."
That's true. Yeah, he was paid by Texas A&M. He was the head coach. He just got fired, and they were just paying him out to not come back.
Oh, oof. I mean, hey, 76 million. Ooh, my God.
That's how much they don't want him to coach again. We'll pay you out. Get out of here.
Oh man, if someone paid me 76 million to get off of YouTube, if only. I also wanted to get to, let's see, my guess is Fabian doesn't like Alan's take on teen girls not being comic book fans. Right. That's kind of the big thing that Fabian takes issue with here, is that he's misunderstanding Alan's point. What Fabian, I believe, is thinking that he's saying is that Alan is saying, "Oh, girls can't be comic book fans, or girls can't like superheroes, or girls can't watch Marvel movies." He literally is not saying any of that. He is not saying even anything remotely close to that. And that's what bugs me, is that Fabian is missing the point here. We also have Stoneman saying, if I'm not mistaken, Rotten Tomatoes actually pieced together 2 reviews together. I'm not sure. But from Alan's? I don't think so. Because even Alan posted this on his Twitter, and even he said this is his take, and he stands by it. So, Zach, oh my gosh. He says, "Chris Gore isn't even a qualified critic, and his opinions are trash." From Josh.
It's
Wow,
not
Zach.
what I'm saying. I'm saying we have those film people that say superhero movies aren't cinema. You know.
Just take Josh's words out of context, Zach. Just completely miss the point. No, I'm kidding. And Jay says, and this is a great comment, the last thing women need is Fabian to advocate on our behalf. He assumes all comic book fans are men. Please give me a break. So bored with this BS. Yeah, I see a lot of knights in shining armor, these white knights that want to come to the rescue of these women that say, oh, I'll stand up for you. You women read comics too. And it's like, yeah, no shit. Of course we do. But we don't need you telling us what we can or can't like. Because most women, I would say, fucking hated watching the Marvels. They thought that it was pandering and nonsensical. And it's pathetic that women are, it's almost, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like patronizing. The film is patronizing to women when it's like, why can't we get something like Captain America Civil War or Captain America Winter Soldier, but instead we get the Marvels.
Yeah,
it's like the sloppy seconds. But sorry,
I mean, let's look at it from their perspective. You've got an industry saying, hey, this is for you, ladies. This one is for you. How are we going to market it? We're going to have an 8-hour stream of kitty cats because this is for you, ladies. This is for you. And you know what? This film's for you. We're just going to tell an incompetent story, but it's for you. It's fine. It's for you. It's because it's for you.
You're gonna love it, right?
And because it's for you, whenever there's any dramatic tension or relationship issues, we're gonna solve it immediately with a hug. Okay. And also just for you, because this is for you. We're gonna have a song and dance number that lasts 10 to 15 minutes just for you.
And all the women are saying it's about time. Thank you, Marvel.
They have blue hair.
Thank you for giving me a 10-minute musical scene that I wanted for so long in the Marvel universe. You're right, Josh. You're totally right that Disney Marvel has marketed this towards a female audience, saying we're doing this for you, and that must be the most patronizing thing of all. But you get guys, like I said, on Twitter over here who, and this is interesting because Zax thinks that he's not only just missing the point, but that he's even more, that it's not just stupid, it's that he's making a bad faith argument. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that he's just missing the point that Alan is saying, or do you think he's taking this as something more sinister than it probably is?
He's missing the point completely.
Yeah,
he's really missing it.
And so I've had interactions with Fabian one-on-one. Fabian, I reviewed one of his books that he had written and was not kind to it. And he actually came into the comments to let me know, hey, to let me know, hey, I actually didn't write this. And then we had a phone call and talked about different things going on, behind the scenes.
Wow.
So he seemed like a very well-balanced guy. And I respected the hell out of him for coming in to say, hey, just FYI, this line that you're butchering me about, these pages, I didn't write those. That got changed after the fact. Like, it was pretty much when lettering was getting done, the editors came in, changed it, all this stuff. And I was like, one, kudos to you for just going public and saying that, because a lot of people wouldn't do that.
Hell yeah, man.
But yeah, I just, I don't know. This is, he stepped in it and he just has to own that he stepped in it. But I don't think I'm worried he won't. I'm worried he'll just double down.
From what the comments are saying and from like reading some of the comment section in Fabian's post here, it does seem like he's just kind of doubling down and saying like, no, you're the problem, or no, you're the one who's missing the point, or no, he's not really kind of easing up on his point. He seems to be getting more more heavily for it. So it's tough to see, you never want to see one of your favorite artists or writers getting in tussles with some of your friends, because you're like, I think people sometimes miss the point, and like even more so, they miss the tone and the inflection of.
And this is why I will never, ever be on Twitter because of shit like this. I don't blame you, dude. That illusion up between the fan and creator and all that. Just it's horrible.
I don't blame you at all, brother. But one thing that that you can't deny, though, is Twitter does bring us just some of the most meaningful, beautiful, really telling stories of truth, and you know, that this actually happened, right? I mean, no, I'm kidding. Listen, I'm not going to speculate whether or not this actually happened or not. I'm just saying it's an odd thing to tweet out. I don't really see this going very well. And also, it seems a bit, I don't know, it seems a bit arrogant to say that. So basically, this tweet is from Jeremy Whitley, who is an author. I guess he's an author, right? I don't think he's an artist. But yeah, I believe he's a writer for Marvel or DC or one of the big two, and he kind of puts out this tweet like a story, but then immediately came in with, "I don't wish harm on anyone. I do wish just consequences for their spiteful actions, and some of those consequences definitely should sometimes include harm." So basically, he's just saying, yes, I believe that some people should have harm done to them because of the responses to this original tweet that I will read shortly, because I do want to get to Zach's, because Zach says Alan is saying the movie was targeted for young girls. In a general sense, he didn't say there aren't young girls who like comics. It's super clear. And that's kind of my thought process as well, Zach's, right? When I read that review on Rotten Tomatoes, that's what I believe he's saying. But Josh, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just, my mind was a million things going into these posts. But the one grace I will give Fabian is there's this whole, like, you know, true fans commentary going on in comics. True, and I think there are a lot of people that are not fans that are vocal about what comics should or shouldn't do. And I think he's kind of gotten caught up in that and just needs to just step away and go write his books. Jeremy Whitley.
Yeah. Please, yeah, give us your thoughts on this.
I'm confused. Did he at some point come out and say he's gay, or
he's married with a kid? How is he gay? I don't understand.
Well, that's what I'm trying. So, editor, I'm not part of the LGBT community, and I know you're not. Me, meaningfully silent. Editor, wait, are you? I just know you're married. Me, both things can be true. Editor, me, it's fine. I know you. Just maybe don't do that anymore. One, I would love to know if the editor's gay. Two, it almost sounds like he potentially said at some point, "I'm gay" or "I'm bi" to try to get that clout when that wave was kind of like going up.
Oh, yep.
And two or three, I can't count. I'm from Jacksonville, Texas. Three, we're out here in the sticks. We don't need to count. We just shoot stuff.
And number 27 on my list.
So apparently, according to Wikipedia, this is absolute truth on Wikipedia. He says he is asexual. So
he's asexual, but then he came out as demi-bisexual. Which,
what the fuck does that mean?
That's my question. So I actually had to fucking look it up, because someone says they're demi-bisexual, and I immediately just go like, stop. Demi-bisexual means that though you've never dated a man, if you are a man, you've never dated a man, you've never been with a man or slept with a man, you've never thought about a man romantically, but it's possible that at some point it could happen. That is demi-bisexual.
Okay, fuck that nonsense.
Pathetic. It's just like, yeah.
Even beyond that, I would say 85% of the people that claim they're bisexual aren't really bisexual. And what I mean by that, what I mean by this is, we're just gonna go here. If a dude gets his dick sucked by another dude and goes, "Oh, that felt good," you just like having sex. It doesn't mean you're bisexual. It means you got pleasured and you didn't mind it. It doesn't. I think to qualify as bisexual, you need to look at another dude and go, "You know what? I could have a life with that person. You know, I could build a life with a dude. I'm okay with that. But I still like women too. I'm for sure could have a life with a. But I think I could have a life with a dude. Not like, you know, hey, I'll get my jollies off from a guy. Whatever. I don't care. Like,
hey, maybe he had long hair. Maybe he was a feminine man. Maybe he looked like a girl. But
sorry, I took that in a direction, but.
No, but you're right. Like if a man looks at another man and is like, I could probably start a life with you. You know, that's a totally different thing from like, maybe you could suck my dick. I don't know. I like this. Mike has bad knees says demi-bi means that I can claim to be part of the rainbow group without having to suck a dick. I mean, like, you're not wrong. So Darth Masai says, I thought demisexual meant that people are purely attracted to personalities and intelligence, not physical appearances. You know, it might mean that as well.
That's
Darth,
pansexual though, right?
But I thought that was pan. But the thing is, because these terms continually change at such a rapid rate, you can't keep up with them. Like they may change overnight. And so fear, $20 is $20. So I mean,
look,
what's up, psychotic?
I know some people. That's all I'm gonna say.
Ever shifting goalpost. That's what it is.
Yeah. Rocky Top, baby. Love it. So yeah, all that being said, this tweet got so much traction because it's absurd, right? It's like, one, did this really actually happen? Probably not. Two, if this is actually happening, why are you being so passive aggressive towards your editor and just being like, oh yeah, no, it's totally fine. Yeah, I'm in the LGBTQ community. I'm asexual, which I don't think it would mean that you're part of the LGBT. If you're asexual, you don't like any sex, right?
Yeah, I don't know why asexuals with the LGBT. I don't know. It's weird,
right? It means that you're not sexually attracted to anything. I don't feel like, but
they're just trying to grow their numbers.
Sure,
you know, they're like the Democrats at this point, recruiting however they can.
So yeah, it is. So it is strange. It just feels like if this was made up, why are you fantasizing about this? Is this like what you want the editor to tell you? Like, do you want to validate yourself by telling the editor this, right?
Also, how is this from Jeremy's perspective? Because at this point, I'm just like, yeah, you're not part of the LGBT community. Sorry. How is this any different than like Sean King or Rachel Dolezal, whatever her name was, being like, oh, I'm black. I'm part of the black community when you're not. Like, how is this any different than that?
Well, that's the big question is like, so if he identifies as this certain sex, can I identify as a certain race? If I can identify as a certain gender as well, I could probably identify as a certain race.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't seem logical, but then logic is racist and bigoted and all that stuff. So yeah. Yes, this is true. The terms are purposely changed so that only the pure, who know all the latest keywords are allowed in the group. And but then it's up to us to be like lectured, or that we have to. It's a nightmare.
Definitely not this guy. Not in the group.
Josh is like, I know what I am, and I know who I am, and that's all. I'm good, baby. Yep.
There is legitimately a movement to get back to just LGB.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen them on Twitter. They're LGB without the T, I think, right? Or it's something to that effect. That's their call
without
sign.
the TQIA. Yeah.
Yeah. The one that Trudeau can't say when he's like the LGB.
They made up their own version of Zax. What do you Canadians call us?
Oh,
you added something to the beginning.
Canadians give you something, yeah. Darth. Maybe. Mike, yeah, the story seems fabricated. It does. But once again, even if this is fabricated, even if this got a ton of hate or whatever, the next tweet, like his tweet afterwards, is wild. That he is basically wishing harm on people but inadvertently says it in like the most passive way possible. It's so pathetic, man. But yeah, no, this should be the last sentence. Some consequences definitely should sometimes include harm. And I wish those consequences towards people who, do this to me or whatever.
Well, not just that, consequences toward people making threats toward people, saying people should be harmed. There should be consequences for that. And I think that's just my opinion. If you threaten to harm someone, whether jokingly, whatever, a call to action to someone, yeah, there should be repercussions for that. Jeremy Whitley. Yeah.
Isn't that kind of the hypocritical thing about this? Like, if 100%. You are wishing harm upon people, like your evil does not beget evil. What's the saying? Like it's not tit for tat here. It's not eye for eye. It's like, but he was probably angry that people didn't like his manufactured story. And he was probably trying to say, I really want to hurt these people. But instead, he had to kind of go around and say it in a passive way. But when in all reality, we know exactly what he means, right? So, yeah. Mark says, great point, trying to steal the valid pain and counterfeit as it has its own. This was the epitome of virtue signaling. If this is manufactured, it is very odd to do this, to want to be martyred for your sexuality, even though your sexuality is still straight, right? Like, I don't know.
You're married and have a kid.
Yes, yeah. Apparently that doesn't mean anything in 2023 though, Drew. So
nope.
But yeah, this is like, why aren't you doing your job, Jeremy? Why aren't you like writing? Why are you on Twitter manufacturing these stories? They put a 2 in there. IA plus 2. Yeah.
No, I think it's actually 2 LGBTQIA.
Oh, is that like dual spirit? Or what is that? Come on, you should know this stuff.
I don't. I run from this stuff.
Yeah. No, this is for sure what it is. I don't wish harm on people, but I definitely wish harm on people is what Jeremy Whitley is saying here. I'm not saying that.
He's saying that. And like, I mean, he is one name away from getting into serious trouble. That's all I got to say. If he had done a call to action with someone specifically, he would have done a complete 180 on this tweet, or it would have been taken down.
Oh, it's still up, baby. It's still up. He's gonna regret having it up, but I mean, this is true, Mike, because like, Pontius Pilate, he was like, well, I'm not gonna crucify him, but like, what about you? You guys think that we should do it, right? And everyone's like, yeah, and he's like, that's right, okay, fine. Like, this is a Pontius Pilate thing for sure.
Zach's put, is Jeremy Whitley gonna throw hands? I don't know if he's capable of throwing hands based on some pictures.
I don't know, dude. Maybe did you see how strong he is? He's a strong dude.
Yeah, but that his legs. Look at how much weight he's been carrying around. He better be fucking strong in his legs.
Oh, that's If you're that big, you can put some weight up, but you're not actually like.
Yeah, the way these tweets are phrased, I feel like he's a guy that hits like this.
Oh, it's this one. It's the palm. It's like the neck and the head are away from you, and the arm goes out like this. For better reference, you guys can see us. Oh yeah, the little palm strike or the little hammer.
You get the limp wrist action going. Not a.
I hit you.
Right. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. The thumbs either on the outside or like not these ones. Anyway, God, the other Twitter nonsense that I guess we could roll right into is our very own Ryan. I think his name is Ryan. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think it is. Mags Visaggio. If you guys know Mags, you know her more recently from this little doozy right here, which was her pitch to DC that she wanted to make Superboy trans. That Superboy in continuity and in canon was always trying to be a trans girl. Is that yeah? He's a man that wants to be a trans woman.
Yep.
Or yeah. And so in her Skyrocket series, which she pitched, and that's what this is, she's been putting this up on Twitter saying, like, if I were to do a Skyrocket series, this is what the plot would be, or this is what the characters would be. And recently, last week, she put up, if there was a WhatsApp scene in the comic that she made about Skyrocket, this is what it would look like. And you have McGann, Ginny, Lex, Leland Luthor, Tim Drake, and John Kent. And I just want to say, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like what's wrong with you? Legitimately.
It's what it is. I mean, it reminds me this whole shit show that she's been doing lately. It reminds me of this Family Guy episode from like 20 years ago, where they showed Tom Green, and he's saying, "Does anyone like me yet?" And this reminds me of. Does anyone like me yet? Does anyone want me to write something yet? Please. It's a cry for attention. It's desperation at this point, and she knows it's not going to happen.
But this is more than just a cry for attention, man. Like, this is weird. This is like not just, okay, it's one thing to sexualize a character and make them a different gender or sexualization. What's up?
Will you go down? I'm really curious to see what John said.
Oh, he just says, does this mean I can be Superboy again?
I was very worried that John was going to say, I need cock, Connie. That got my mind into so many different incest type things. So,
no. Yeah.
But carry on.
No, but you're right. But this is the state of comics, is like they've made these characters so over sexualized that it seems like the only reason why she wants to make Connie into this trans woman is so that she can have these characters say, and this is like, I don't know. Obviously, this is an adult channel. This is an adult show. We say, bad language on here, but this is just so crass and crude and just shitty. Like it makes no sense for these characters. It has no context. It's just dumb, and it's just the writer's section.
It makes no sense. It's a cry for attention. That's what it is. Yeah. It's so different, and that's what this is.
But it's the writer's like sexualized fetish, just in their own writings, and it's just nonsensical, and it just. But yeah,
this is very clearly Mags's fantasy, because we know Mags is not getting 2 females and a male asking to get it on.
Right.
I mean, have you seen Mags? It's like, Jesus. I mean, you couldn't pay me up as a hooker to hook up with her. Jesus.
I often, when we see a picture of Mags, we talk about how she needs to take a shower.
Yes. like, it's bad. It's bad. You can't determine whether it's dirt or whether it's just a filter or what. Like, it's a nightmare. But so for those of you who are listening, who are just listening, who aren't watching, the text messages that are on the WhatsApp for Skyrocket, all these characters are just basically saying, I need pussy, Connie. I need pussy, Connie. Lex says, well, you know what? I can't say this for YouTube, but Tim says, I need cock, Connie. It's like, what? Like I said, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why write this? This is mental disorder. Like, your sexualized fantasy is not for everyone else's, reading enjoyment. Put this up on what is it? What's that awful site? Reddit, 4chan. Put it up there. Like, no one wants this. It's such a nightmare.
Well, I will say, on a positive note, Mags's antics has gotten Mags blacklisted at DC again. So.
Really interesting. Okay. Yeah. What was it? Was it the comment about her wanting to take a baseball bat to every white person's head? Was that
that didn't even get Mags blacklisted? Mags harassing editors to take work from her is what got her blacklisted. Like, she would call multiple times a day,
just being like, "Hey, can you write this for me?" It's like, Mags.
Are we doing this or not? Are we doing the? So I reached out to you guys about a pitch. What's going on? Like, and it was actually Jamie Rich of all people that was like, went to Marie Javins and was like, no more. No more. I'm done.
Yeah. See you later, Cajun. Thanks for being here, brother. Enjoy the rest of your night. No, there's not enough alcohol in the world to deal with some of this stuff. But yeah, Drew, you want to read this one?
We need a classic. It's weird.
Yeah, it's either it's weird or it's weird. Yeah, either one are so good. Yeah, the weirdness has fully consumed us at this point.
It's just rightfully so. She's blacklisted. Rightfully so. She's earned every bit of it.
Oh, like at this point, I am surprised that it didn't happen sooner, right? So yeah, it's a nightmare. Not my name says, so an honest question here, is this an alt-right channel? Some things being said makes me think so, and some things being said makes it seem like a regular channel. So no, we are not an alt-right channel. Not my name. You'll find that like most of our takes sometimes get pretty spicy, but for the most part, we have pretty reasonable understandings of things. I will say for me, I can speak for myself. I tend to lean more right on some of these things, but for the most part, I just really want good stories, and I want a lot of the main industry, whether it's Hollywood or comics, to stop villainizing people like myself who may think a different way or vote a different way. So that doesn't make me alt-right. It just makes me someone who really wants to enjoy my entertainment and not be chastised because of the decisions that I make based off of my political affiliation. So, but like you said, some of the things on this channel feel like they're normal things. So I'm glad that, you asked the question though. So hopefully
do you want us to respond?
I was going to say, if you want, like you're more than welcome to. But yeah, no, I just want to be very, like I make a lot of jokes on the channel. We have a lot of fun, but not my name. If you are being good faith here, that's totally fine. If you're not being good faith, that's totally fine. And yeah, I'm glad that you can understand that. Yeah, I really appreciate it. So TJ says, stop explaining yourself. Hey, I'm being good faith, brother. I'm just trying to do my part, right? But yeah, sorry. Did you want to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, if you came in and you felt like there's a strong anti-gay rhetoric from me, I'm a gay man, so yeah, throwing that out there. Politically, I'm center right on some things. I physically conservative, socially liberal is probably a good way to describe.
Oh, there you go.
My political stance.
Yeah.
So.
Not just that, we're three grown adults. We're three grown adults who have jobs. All right, we live in the real world.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing too. There's conversations or loud voices that I think are extremes, and we've called out extremes for both sides.
Sure,
but I think we're seeing a lot of extremes from a specific side as far as media goes. So that kind of tends to be the topic of conversation.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think we tend to cover that stuff because it is so kind of absurd at times. And it just seems very like, I don't know, it just seems kind of out there. Whereas like, yeah, I think that's fair. I appreciate what these guys have to say all the time because they are two of the regular co-hosts on this show, and their opinions are articulated sometimes better than I can articulate my own. So it's always great to have them here. I was going to say, oh yeah, Mike, what is alt-right? Well, for different people, it means different things, right? For the classic version of alt-right, I guess you could say it's individuals who hold a strong conservative value, so much so to where it almost becomes like dangerous or detrimental. Whereas like for a lot of other people, alt-right just means anyone that doesn't agree with you, right? So it's a sliding scale, and especially after 2016, alt-right took a completely different meaning in the cultural sphere. I didn't even know what the term woke meant like 3 years ago, right? I didn't even really consider myself a conservative or a liberal until 5 or 10 years ago, because I never really focused on it all that much. So Lane, yeah, I think we all just agree Krakoa X-Men sucks. It's weird. Hopefully it gets better. I'll agree with you there. Yeah, what was your X-Men question though? Because maybe we could, let me see if I can find it. Oh, no. Yeah, sorry, Lane. Maybe if you want to put it back in the chat, I'll ask Josh, or we can ask him. So, it wouldn't be Max's Man Cave without some Max splaining and classic MVP overthinking. You're right there, Jay. You are absolutely right. But Max splaining, is that the new mansplaining? Maybe.
You know what? Maybe I was about to make the joke. I wonder if Whitley or whatever his name is going to come in and be like, "Stop mansplaining." The way DC told me to stop mansplaining. Stop mansplaining.
DC told you? Oh, for one of your reviews?
Yeah.
No way. What happened?
I was talking about story structure in a review for a book that a female wrote, and I was not direct. There was no like, "Hey, female writer" type of approach to this. I was just going through story structure, and Clark Bull accused me of mansplaining and went to my boss and was like, "Hey, the idea is that he's mansplaining, blah, 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 blah. Can you please have a conversation with him?" And then my boss responded with sending him, I think 6 or 7 reviews where I talk about story structure, the lack of, from comics written by men.
Oh man, you know what? That's right. You told me about this. Oh my gosh, that is so funny, dude.
It was so my boss's name was Andrew, and it was probably the most base things that he'd done. It's just like link, 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 link. Oh, is there a problem? Man. We can write about this if there is, and then that's it.
Whoo, I love it. I love it when bosses stand up for their employees. That's dope. Yeah. Fear. Well, there's spicy drama, but hopefully it's not like, involved with, I don't know. I think it's interesting to cover some drama within comics because so much of the industry is filled with that right now. And I think it's interesting to talk about it. Also because right now the current comic conversation is around the industry and the individuals who are in the industry and not so much the comics themselves. So this Max's Man Cave tends to be kind of a commentary on the industry, as opposed to where the weekly comic wrap up tends to be more of a discussion on the comics themselves and their objective nature of storytelling and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, like, or lack there, exactly. But hopefully there's no like any spicy drama with like YouTube channels in me, because I hate that shit. That's like a lot of it is just unnecessary. But
we're gonna start some drama, Max.
Of course, yeah, we always do.
Stir that shit pot. Stir that shit pot. Yep.
Yeah, right. So Lane says to Josh, does it look like the X-Men relaunch will not be happening till mid-2024? Marvel is dragging it out once again with lots of minis and killing time and sucking more money.
Yeah. So the original plan was for the X-Men relaunch to happen in comics starting in January. Then they couldn't get anyone in to actually come take over the X-Men line. That was also supposed to be a little strategic in kind of aligning with X-Men 97, the cartoon. And this is, probably going back to April, May that I was hearing this. This was supposed to get the comics back in more of a classic X-Men story. I don't know if that's still the case though, because even the push behind X-Men 97, the animated series, is kind of waning to a degree.
Yeah, and on Saturday within the aficionados, I was talking behind the scenes with certain individuals. I won't say their name, but I guess I don't want to say it's a shit show, but like trying to get people to come on board was a shit show for the X-Men.
Absolutely.
And it's a nightmare. And what Tom Brevoort is saying, how he has writers aboard right now, and how a lot of people may not like these people, they're not gonna be surprised by who they are. I'm like, I'm scared now. I'm scared even more now than before. So I really don't know if I want to read where it's going to next.
Dude, X-Men has been in a bad place for the past decade. I can't remember a good X-Men story, right?
How funny would it be if he's like, yeah, some people are going to be really upset when they see some of these writers, and it's like gets announced, head writer for the X-Men, Warren Ellis.
Oh,
I'm sold. I'm there.
I am sold too.
What if it's like, oh yeah, people are gonna like this, and it's like Robert Venditti, and it's like, whoa, okay, I'll read that, but
or Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing. Yeah.
Boo.
Oh.
Boo. Who wrote Thanos this past week? Can't write well?
Yep, can't write well.
That's
there you go.
Was, yeah.
That's gonna be the trifecta on the X-Men team.
Can't write well, the unity, the trinity,
yep,
yeah.
The triune, gods right there.
The producer for X-Men 97 is too busy posting pics on Instagram with his shirt off to get that show done.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that guy, by the way.
Is that the Hispanic guy?
I think he's black or mixed.
Oh, the guy who's talking about like, I'm going to put my gay experiences in the show. That guy?
Yeah, but he's also got a Twitter presence, and he's a raunchy individual. I'll just put it that way.
Oh,
which is perfect for a kid show.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
for sure.
There's a brand within the gay community called Nasty Pig, and it's very much about pro sex culture.
Yeah, like expressing yourself through sexual.
Yeah.
Just what we need for our X-Men animated series new revamp. Well, not only is he a producer, but one of the showrunners. This was way back. This was like 2021 when they first announced it. I was at my old place. I just started my channel. But one of the showrunners or producers, he might be off the project now, but it was this Hispanic guy, and he had a Twitter presence, and his pinned tweet was him skateboarding or something, and he was like flipping off the camera, and basically the comment or his post was, fuck your boy Trump, and if you like him, fuck you too. And that was his pinned quote tweet, or his pinned tweet on his Twitter page. And I was like, and it was there for the longest time until people started realizing who he was. And it's just like, what are you guys doing? What is just be fucking normal human beings, dude.
Yeah. Just also, if you're in the entertainment industry, just maybe, lay off politics.
You know what? If you're in any type of like entertainment industry where you're writing or creating or anything, just post stuff you like. Post your artwork, post your writing, post books that you're reading, movies you're watching.
Yeah, follow that guy Dolan on Facebook or Instagram. He just posts stuff about his work.
Always there you go.
Artwork.
Yeah, I like that. I like that guy Dolan.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Frank Zanka, hey guys, happy Sunday. Hello to you, Frank. Good to see you, brother. Yep. And Fear says he likes getting. I love the industry news. It's the look inside I'll never get from just buying floppies at my LCS. And Fear, there's a positive and a negative, because for me, when I was just buying floppies, I had no idea what Comics Beat was. I had no idea what Bleeding Cool was. I had no idea who these creators were. I would just buy comics because I was like, oh, I like Aquaman, or I like Superman. I didn't know who Brian Michael Bendis was. Like, these were things that, I mean, of course I do, but now I do. But way back when I was starting to first collect, I didn't know any of this stuff. So it is kind of interesting. It's a blessing and a curse, right? It's like, do I want to take the pill where it's just like, I'm just willfully ignorant and I don't know any of this shit? Or do I want to take the other pill where it's like, I have to know what's going on in the industry? And so hopefully you enjoy this stuff, and I appreciate that you like it. But what's up, Keely?
I knew them from Wizard Magazine and Comics Journal. That was about it.
That's right. Yeah. Honestly, for how well he'd been doing overall, might say Ryan North can maybe do an X-Men. Nah, I don't think so, brother. I don't know about Ryan North. So do you guys have another like 15, 20 minutes to go over Mark Miller's plan? Are you guys cool with that?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay, sweet. We'll just go through it real quick here. This will be our last topic for the night. I did want to talk about Mark Miller and his kind of plan to save comic books. Talking about, all night we've been talking about the industry. We've been talking about the MCU. We've been talking about Marvel in general. But and DC. But Mark Miller posted this the other day on Twitter, and he said, I don't have any skin in this game as I've worked elsewhere for a long time, mainly Netflix and Hollywood, but I've got a lot of pals at Marvel and DC and hate to see them struggling like this. I offer this advice in good faith in a bid to help supercharge both freelance deals and the corporations themselves. and then he goes into basically this entire thread of how he wants to change the industry, or how he would essentially change the industry to invigorate it and put some oomph back into it, right? And I really think that this could help. But basically, the overarching nature of his fixing of this industry is there needs to be more money back into it in order to get great creators, in order to get some rock stars back into the industry to sell really great books. It's going to take paying these artists and these writers what they're due, and people will then begin to come back. Because as he said, on one of his pages, he would make $1,000 when he was in the industry, and now people are only making 90. That's abysmal and criminal, right? So, yeah, he basically talks about all this, but I'm just shocked at the amount of people that, like, so for instance, this individual who says, the sky ain't falling. The big two books are the same as they were when you were working for them. No, they are not. And I think it's I wonder what it is. Do you guys think that this is someone who refuses to acknowledge that the industry is unhealthy, or do you think it's someone who legitimately believes that it's unhealthy, but can't say that it's not because you'll be considered one of the bad guys, right?
Do me a favor. Click on Nick and see what his profile says.
Oh, no. No. I think he's just a writer for like monsters and stuff. I don't know. Or for Englishman. Kids. In the USA, who writes and occasionally draws comic books about heroic kids and cuddly toys who battle monsters.
I've mentioned echo chambers. I think this guy's in the echo chamber. And I genuinely think he believes that if people have criticisms, it's because they are, anti-female, diversity, like whatever it might be. Right. And I think he hears the argument and just automatically just goes to that. Well, this is all this is, without actually doing any due diligence to research what's going on.
Yeah. No, and I think maybe, like you said, maybe not this guy in particular, or maybe it is him, but I think for most people who have this kind of thought process overall tend to, like you said, be in that echo chamber to kind of have this thought process that can't stray from what everyone else is thinking, right? But to go more into detail about what his plan is, I'll ask you guys what you thought about it, because I don't know if you guys read this or not, but what his plan is, or like I said, what he would plan to do if he wanted to change things, is that right now both companies typically pay around a 2% royalty on all sales over, broadly speaking, 50,000 sales. And we know from current comic book like single issue floppies for Western comics, because we have to be very specific or else people will go, oh, manga or trade paperbacks or graphic novels. No, single issue floppies in a Western market. They can't even hit 10K, let alone 50,000, right?
Yep.
So he says sales decline seems to be a race to the bottom in terms of talent that they can afford. My suggestion is that if one of these companies swaps that 2% royalty for a 50-50 split with the creative team on the sales over roughly, I don't know, say 60,000 copies, they will send a bolt of electricity through the industry and bring in the most commercial freelancers in the biz again. So what do you guys think about that deal for, these rock stars? Do you think that they would take that 50-50 royalty?
I think so. I think they would. I mean, it's just one of those things. It had to be in writing. It can't just be a verbal thing. I mean, like, not just rockstars, but like for me as a creative, if they offered that, hell yeah, I'd be on board. I'd be working my ass off. I mean, I'm working my ass off as it is. I mean, when people see what I got to work with Michaels next year, their minds are going to be blown. But how could this couldn't incentivize or make a creator want to work harder, to produce quality product, to get the numbers up? I don't see how it couldn't. This should, because I think Mark knows that he knows that if these two fail, if these two keep falling, it is just it's like Jenga. The whole thing comes tumbling down. And desperate times call for desperate measures, and this is a very desperate measure.
Yeah. And I think it'll do twofold. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I wanted to look at when we had like definitive numbers, and the last time we had full hard definitive numbers was March of 2020, and that's when Comic-Con was still releasing the numbers of what comic book shops and everything was ordering. Even then, and we know sales have dropped since then, but even then, only 20 books for the month of March 2020 were above 50,000.
Oof. And Marvel is releasing 80 books a month.
Yeah. If not more.
Yeah. If not more. Plus variants.
Yep.
Like, that's insane.
If you look at the Marvel catalog, like I had out on Friday during the live stream, that sucker is massive. It's like going through a diamond catalog. I mean, they're
man.
Out shit in January. It's just get ready.
It's
I was going to say, I'll also add, out of those 28 of those books were number one, like a number one issue.
Oh.
Which had probably anywhere between 10 to 50 variants.
Yeah. Or was it a Batman or Batman related title or something like that?
I mean, well, this also when Batman was double shipping. So you had, I mean, if I'm looking at this list, number one was Spider-Woman, Spider-Woman number one, Batman number 91, Batman number 90, Flash number 750. So an anniversary issue. Thor 4, X-Men number 8, and this was the Krakoa like start of Hickman's run. So keep in mind that was doing gangbusters there. Wolverine, Strange Academy number 1, X-Men number 9, because X-Men was also double shipping at that time.
Sure.
Immortal Hulk 33, which was a really great run and had built momentum. Star Wars Bounty Hunters number 1, Robin 80th anniversary special. Strange Adventure number 1 with the asterisk, so something different about that one. Don't know what it is. Deceased, Hellions number 1, Amazing Spider-Man number 41, Batman Curse of the White Knight number 8, Cable number 1, Amazing Spider-Man 42, and Marvel number 1.
Yeah, that's pretty. And you could even like that Thor run, Thor number 4. I think that was the Donny Cates run. You were talking about. So another fantastic run, and we do not have Donny Cates right now. So like
we're not gonna
no, he has left the building for a while. So
he's gone bye.
Yeah, man, it's a list that we haven't seen for a while. And like you said, if they're all number ones or they're all Bat Family or Spider-Man stuff, like it's tough to really say that these books are getting over $50,000 or 50,000 copies sold without any variants or something, right? The reason why they talked about Transformers getting over 150,000 copies is because that's unheard of. That's like getting 1 million right now. So I think that this will do two things. This will be twofold. If Mark's plan is put into place, not only will this bring out the great creators who should be working right now, that would be able to say, I'm going to make a great story. I'm going to make a Batman Joker Deadly Duo like Mark Silvestri was doing, and I'm going to sell gangbusters on this thing and make a ton of freaking money. But it's also going to weed out all the shit, well, the bad writers, the crap writers and the crap artists. The underqualified. Thank you very much. I didn't mean to be so mean, but no, yeah, it's going to get rid of all the individuals who were hired on, 7 years ago at this point, for cultural points or for diversity points or whatever, or for whatever it is that they were unqualified to do the job. Because they are now going to have their books not selling anywhere near 50,000 copies, and it's going to hurt their royalties. And yet Marvel and DC won't lose any money because they'll be bringing in a ton of money. So
this is going to require a culture change for Marvel and DC completely, because as we're seeing, like, look, I just know firsthand, it's just going cheap, getting talent, quote unquote talent that is cheap, and isn't afraid to maybe miss a payment or two. Someone's not going to be difficult. Cheap and not difficult. That's what they're looking for. It's going to require a culture change from that, to bring on people who are talented and who are going to, hold the publisher, put their feet to the fire if they're not paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got to do more than just get the superstar writers on though at this point, because I think so many people have been burned, and even people that are decent or competent writers have not been delivering their best because of editorial mandates or interference or whatever it might be. You got to give people a reason to come back. And I think the two closest things we've seen to this, I mean, you mentioned Transformers 150, is probably X-Men when Hickman took over, and then Three Jokers. I know I don't know Hickman's sales numbers. I know when Three Jokers came out, the first issue had over 300,000 issues sold.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Just massive.
I do know that King Spawn or Spawn 1 or like 300 or whatever, that made hundreds of thousands of copies because they had the 1 in 1,000 variant, 1 in 100,000 variant, something like that, right?
Yeah, 1 in 1,000.
It was one in 1,000, yeah. So you have that, but that's like an outlier. So I think what you guys are talking about as well is like, these guys are going to need a bigger incentive, and it's going to take a cultural change. This is going to need to be from the top. This is going to need to come from the leadership. So we could get great creators in there, but if we see editors that are, these 21-year-old editors who have no idea what they're doing, or leadership that doesn't care what these editors are doing, the writing is going to suffer and the artwork is going to suffer. So you're right. I think you guys are right. This is a great idea, but it would take an entire restructuring, an entire culture change of the leadership at the top, the editorial, and then all the artists and creatives that are making these books. But I do not see that happening anytime soon. I know we've had articles recently that said that some of these guys, some of these retailers think that the comic industry doesn't have more than 2 years left on its lifespan. So. But yeah, all that being said, I think in practice, it's awesome. I don't know if it'll ever happen, right? So it sucks because Mark is actually trying to do something really cool, and he's trying to be like, hey, I'm just trying to offer an idea here, right? Like no one's offering solutions. I'm going to offer a solution, right? He's doing something that no one else is doing right now, and that's actually trying to fix things.
But then you have dipshits below there commenting, no, everything is fine. What are you talking about? Things are better than ever. Fuck off.
Exactly. Yeah. Like the comic industry has never been better. And it's like, you're either stupid or evil.
The guy who's writing that shit or the guy who's got to deal with Netflix. I'll take the guy who's got to deal with that.
Yeah. Not even that. Even if Mark didn't even have a deal with Netflix, he's still written some of my favorite books of all time. I'm probably X-Men, Superman, like all these different indie stuff,
Swamp Thing. The list goes on and on with what he's done.
Yeah, I mean, even if you take out the favorite aspect, the fact that he's written books that have sold, that's a key thing to look at,
and are still selling, and are still being reprinted.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that is all the news that's fit to print this evening. I know that we were going to try and go over the Frazetta stuff and some other topics, but I've already kept you guys here later than 2 hours, and I try and be respectful of y'all's time. But I do want to say a huge thank you to everyone who gave their super chats tonight. That was super gracious of you guys. And thank you to the chat. We had a great turnout tonight, more viewers than normal. And I love seeing that. I love seeing the Mancave grow. I love seeing the channel grow. And it's all thanks to you guys, the chat and the fans, and also to my panelists who, like I said earlier, are just the best when it comes to having these conversations. These guys know more about this stuff than even I do sometimes, and I really appreciate their takes and their points because they're awesome. So I appreciate it. Drew, let me pull up your campaign so we can market that one more time before we dip out. And Josh, will we be seeing you on Tuesday for Pop by Culture?
TBD.
TBD.
This week might be crazy.
Oh boy. Work got you in a tizzy?
Not necessarily me in a tizzy. We've got one person out on vacation, and then we have another person whose father-in-law passed away. So now they're out. So it's light.
Yeah. Well, sorry about that, man. I'm sorry to hear that you guys are that you had an employee that had that happen, but that you guys are also kind of short staffed this week. So hopefully you can get some rest. And if you don't do Tuesday night, we'll miss you though. We'll miss seeing you. So
that's right.
Yeah,
better miss me.
We'll miss your dumb takes because you love the Marvels so much. No.
Oh God. I know where
it
you
is-
live, Max Priestley.
It is funny to troll you though a little bit. It is fun. Chris, thank you so much, and thank you, Lane. I appreciate it, you guys. Oh my gosh, Dempsey, his father-in-law passed away too. I'm so sorry to hear that, brother. But wow, yeah, I guess that, stuff like that happens. It feels like almost a coincidence, but yeah, it's pretty crazy how that stuff can happen so abruptly like that. But yeah, hopefully you're doing well, Dempsey, and prayers going out to you. But Drew, before we dip out, I do want to give another shout out to The Unholy Nightmare, which everyone can go back right now, and I will post the link in the chat one last time for the evening so that you guys can go check this out. Still got 17 days to go. Hopefully hitting that 9K, baby.
Yeah, hopefully. And I want to thank everyone again. Yeah, so if you missed the stream earlier today, we're going to be sending out an update to all the people who signed up with those new sketch pages coming out. Like, hey, so they can see issue 1, the work is in progress. So if you think, hey, he got funded, he's taking our money, he's not going to fund it, he's not going to fulfill. Hey, nope, it is being done right now. It is being finished. So bit by bit. So please really spread the word about this, guys. Really, word of mouth will really get the ball rolling on this a little bit more. Tell your friends, tell the friends of store owners, tell them to really back this, guys. This is going to be a special book, and they're not going to want to miss out on this.
Can't wait, man. Yeah, and I know that once everyone gets this in their hands, they are going to be very, very happy. Because yeah, this isn't one of those projects that's was it DeCampi? Does that sound right? Alex DeCampi, that like didn't ever fund or didn't ever give her project funding. Like she didn't actually produce a book for those who funded her book. Yeah. So
shady.
I think so.
Yeah, not the best look. Not a good look. So well, it is always a pleasure to hang out with everyone tonight on the Max's Man Cave. We will see you guys here next week, same time, same place, with the same panel potentially, unless we do a solo stream. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you again to you all for your support. Hope you all had a fantastic Marine Corps birthday on Friday and a fantastic Veterans Day on Saturday. And for my Canadian brethren out there, a nice and good Remembrance Day. So love you guys. Thank you again. Reject modernity and embrace your legacy. And we will see you guys next weekend.